It's been one of the most memorable years in gaming history, for better and for worse. We break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 282 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name's Garrett Drake, and I'm joined by Jacob Alka.
Hello, Garrett. How are you?
Jacob, I'm well. We're joined by friend of the show, Preston John Poobah Pugh.
Hello.
He lives. He lives! Reminds me of that scene in Finding Nemo when Merlin wakes up on the shell of Crush when they're in the East Atlantic Current or whatever. He's like, oh, dude, he lives! He lives! That's how I feel. You're Merlin and I'm Crush in this moment. And perhaps our humble community feels the same, that you live and breathe. Preston, how you been? Bring us up to speed on your life, if you're willing.
Sure. Yeah, I've been great. I've got a new job. I'm in a new house. I'm married. I've got new pets.
We saw one of them.
Yeah, you did. I've got a cat now, which I was deathly allergic to cats before I got one. And I guess I'm not anymore.
You built in immediately.
You got over it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, man, a whole lot has happened.
You got that cat in you now. Like people always say, you got that dog in you.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, things are pretty great, and it's of course good to be back.
Well, it's an honor to have you. We've missed you dearly, and like I was telling you before we started rolling, I've received countless messages or comments over the last at least a year. It's been since you've been on of like, where the heck's Preston? It's obvious gaming's fallen off. Where's Poobah? Is basically the vibe I've gotten. So,
yeah, I get those
grateful
too.
You're here, and indeed, we are not dead yet. We live on. So I'm stoked. Jacob, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Christmas is coming up. Getting ready to go back down to Florida, be with the family. Work is good. I think I've gotten a new job since our last show too.
It's an interesting job as well. It's one I'd never heard of until
it
you
is.
started
Yeah,
doing it.
I had never heard of it either. And then a buddy reached out to me, and basically I'm an interior landscaper. So I go into like clients' workspaces and I install plants and floral and make their offices look nice. And it's a very easy job, very rewarding, and I get to meet some cool people. So I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, I've been good. Haven't been playing as many games as maybe you guys, but
I've been gaming nonetheless.
yeah, I've been gaming and
Yeah,
enjoying life.
I don't travel anymore for work. I work
awesome.
straight from home, dude. So like the second work's over, I just like flip my chair around, scooch into another room, and can game
It's
on.
game time. Game on. Yeah, that's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, gentlemen, like I said, it's good to see you. It is a Sunday in December. It's December 10th, noon in Georgia. And we're excited to podcast again. It's been quite a while. It's been our longest hiatus ever. It's been Preston's longest hiatus. He definitely set the record for taking a break from the podcast. But even for Jake and I, it's been a minute. And there wasn't any particular reason. I think maybe there's an unspoken thing where we just kind of needed to rest a bit. And that's the thing. It's like it wasn't like we were doing it every week like we used to. But I think between life and work and the creative side of us, kind of got jumbled up there for a minute, but we're back. And Jacob and I briefly discussed trying to do it weekly again, to some degree, which has always been our goal. We've said that 100 times, so we won't dwell on it, but we're just happy to be here. So gentlemen, all that said, talk to me about what you've been playing.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I'd say let's talk about what we've been playing recently, and then we're going to go back to we'll talk about all the major releases briefly this year.
Recently is gonna come really like out of left field, because it is something that is just really weird, especially for me. So I just got back from Disney World not too long ago, about 2 weeks after I had gotten married. It's not like it wasn't our honeymoon. It was a trip we really had planned before we even had our wedding date set.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to Disney for a week, and it was incredible. We got to eat at a bunch of like really cool places. Like we were able to eat inside of the castle in Magic Kingdom. So
I've eaten there too. It's cool.
It is cool. I don't know if it was worth what we paid.
No,
This whole
no.
dear God, but you know, it was fun to do one time.
Was it the one where all the princesses walk around?
Yeah. So we also went with my my niece and my sister and her husband and stuff. So it was a lot of, you know, those dinners and things were just so she could meet, you know, the princesses and, you know, all the characters and stuff. So I think we did like 4 character dinners, or, you know, I think we did 1 breakfast, then like 2 or 3 dinners or whatever. But anyways, so I was very much in the Disney mood after that. So I decided to play Kingdom Hearts for some reason.
Okay.
So I booted up the first one, and you know, funny thing is I've played Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. I've never beaten any of them. I've always I got to the end of the first 2, and well, actually the end of all 3, and just never beat it. I could never beat the first one just because I was a little kid, and that final boss fight is like 9 phases.
Yeah.
You know, as I was a stupid kid, I didn't know what I was doing. Kingdom Hearts 2, I never even attempted the final fight. Same thing with 3. So I just went through the first one again and ended up beating it. And I was like, well, is this easy to platinum? And it wasn't, but I still I went ahead with it and ended up platinuming the first one.
Wow.
So then I started Kingdom Hearts 2.
So you did all the Hercules Cup stuff.
Yeah, that actually wasn't hard at all. The hardest thing was playing through on I played through on critical mode, my second playthrough.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty hard. There's a little bit of a, not to get too in the weeds, but there's a trick to make boss fights easier. There's a 0 XP ability, and you can do this thing called damage. I forget the term, but basically if you finish a combo and then start doing magic after it, every one of your magic attacks does the same amount of damage as the final hit of your combo. So you can just like melt bosses doing that. So using that strategy made it a bit easier, but and then do grinding for all the items to make the ultimate weapon, that was the worst.
That's
that
ridiculous.
I wanted to kill myself doing that, dude. I was too deep into it, so that was like my podcast game for a few days, just grinding for materials. So
yeah.
Anyways, beat the first one, went into the second one, and dude, going straight from the first into the second one, it's unreal how much better the second one is.
It's so good.
The combat is so much fun. I'm gonna be honest with you, I skipped every cutscene for both games. I skipped all of them.
That's what I've been doing for Final Fantasy 16.
Oh my god,
Garrett,
what are you doing?
You can't. You know, we'll get
I'm
to
like, I don't care what you have to say. Take me to the next boss.
That's ridiculous.
I use the active time where I know where we're at in the story, and at the end, after I complete all the gameplay, I'm gonna like watch a breakdown of the whole story, so I'm like filled in. Just in the moment, I don't feel like sitting through those cutscenes.
That's insane. Anyways, I kind of am doing a similar thing with Kingdom Hearts. I'm watching like a up-to-date thing. So like I as much as I can, I know what's going on in these games, so I'm just skipping them. Mm-hmm. But
see, now I think that's insane because I actually like watching the cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts, at least from what I remember.
You guys are ridiculous.
So, I don't know.
Stop skipping cutscenes.
So
I skipped all the cutscenes in Horizon Forbidden
Why'd
West.
You even play it?
Can we get out of here, please?
I'm gonna be honest, I did too. I platinumed that game and I have no clue what happened.
What happened to you guys?
Anyway, so I platinumed Kingdom Hearts 2. I played through that game from start to finish on critical mode. And dude, critical mode is, in Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically, is one of the best difficulty options I think I've ever played in a video game. It is, you deal a lot more damage, but you take way more damage. So, like, the boss fights towards the end are so intense. You have to know exactly what's going on, but they don't last, like, 5 hours. It's like, if you can just kind of get it down, you can really beat them in a few minutes. So, yeah, so this is Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Final Mix. So they added a ton of boss fights, like these data boss fights where you fight against Organization 13. And, dude, some of those were insanely hard, so pulling those off, it was just super rewarding. So yeah, I ended up platinuming Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm actually almost at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 right now. I think I just got all like the miscellaneous trophies for the Caribbean So I think I'm at San Fran, Tokyo right now, just collecting all the treasure chests. So I'm gonna platinum that one too, and then after that, I'm done. I'm not playing any of like the DS games or anything. So I don't know why I'm randomly playing those games, because I have other things that I technically should, I guess, be playing now that are newer. But yeah, that's recently what I've been playing. So,
yeah, I respect that. It's a good choice in, how to spend your time.
Yeah.
Preston, let me ask you, did you remotely get emotional at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2 when you beat it?
Not 2. I did at the end of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ending of 1 was pretty cool. I did actually watch the endings of both those games because you can't skip it. It makes you watch it. You have to watch all the credits to even for the trophy to pop. So I had to sit through those. But both endings were really good. So
yeah, the ending of 2 remains to be one of my most memorable and favorite endings of any game I've ever played. And it could have been just the impression it had on me as a kid, but I just remember Kairi and Sora reuniting on the beach, like where their journey began. And that final shot where they grab hands with the star in between their hands. I think it's Sanctuary too. Is it Sanctuary, Jacob, the place that
that's the second one. The ending of the first one was Sora and Kairi like on a beach, like staring at each other, and Sora's like, I'll still coming for you or whatever, and he like they reach their hands out and they get separated, and then Simple and Clean starts playing. Yeah,
dude, so good. But then mirroring that with the end of 2 just makes it perfect, dude. That's awesome.
But anyways, so that was, like I said, I guess just because I was at Disney World, that just gave me the urge to go through those games.
Man, that's amazing, that trip to Disney. I mean, it sounded like it was an awesome trip that would inspire you to play those games.
Yeah. For sure.
Love that.
But I was playing through the newest Like a Dragon game, and I was very much so enjoying it, and just randomly got sidetracked with these. But I'm definitely going to go back and finish that, I guess, once I'm done with Kingdom Hearts 3. So
I've long had an interest in those games. I just need to speak to the right person or read the right article about which is the best one to play right now to start with. Because they always look fun and interesting to me, and everyone who plays them loves them.
The thing that got me with
I want to give one of them
Like a
chance.
Dragon Gaiden is I heard that it's significantly shorter than the other ones. And I know it's like technically comes after, a million games, but the story is still pretty like understandable. I know exactly, what's going on, and the story that's actually happening in this game is very interesting. But these games, I think I played quite a bit of Yakuza 0, and I'm sure it's a staple of the franchise, but they definitely have a charm to them that is just like this. They're funny. The characters are extremely likable. The worlds that you run around in are super like. There's just a ton to do. There's like, I think one day I was just playing pool, and then there's like darts. You can go do karaoke. Like there's just like a million things you can do, in the little hub you're in. And the combat's fun. It's, nothing too. I think the combat in this game is a little less complicated than the others, just because you have 2 fighting styles you switch between, and I'm pretty sure in the other ones you have 4. So that's also something I kind of like, is, I don't know, when you have like that many fighting styles, I feel like I'm missing something if I'm not switching in between all 4 of them. So so just having 2 to go back and forth between, I don't know, I feel like I'm just enjoying the combat a little more. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's a okay starting point. The thing with this is that, like, let's be honest, guys, like, if you are interested in this game and you truly want to be caught up, like, I highly doubt any of us are going to play through like the 6 or 7 Yakuza games you need to play through to even get to where we are now at this point. So you might as well, if you have an interest in it, you might as well just jump in, So.
And to Gaiden specifically?
I've heard that the one before this, the Like a Dragon, like the...
There's so many of them.
I forget what it's even called. It's the one where it's the first turn-based combat one. I think it's called Yakuza 6, like a Dragon. I've heard that's a pretty good one to start with because the main character is different. And the new one that's coming out in January or February, the Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I believe is what it's called, is the same protagonist. So it's, a sequel to 7. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd say like either 6 or Gaiden are a pretty good place to start if you're interested. So, there's a lot coming out early next year to where I don't even know if I'll be able to get to Infinite Wealth. It's in the same month as Rebirth. So, that of course is going to take all of my attention. But but yeah, it's fun. After I finish that, I'm not really sure what I'm going to hop into. I guess once we kind of talk about the Game of the Year awards, I can make comments on everything else that I've played like way earlier in the back, way earlier back in the year, from Hogwarts to RE4 to Baldur's Gate to which I need to finish that. I'm in Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3, so that's also something I need to get back to. But yeah, I feel like I've talked enough right now.
Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing. Jacob, what have you been playing recently?
I've only been playing World of Warcraft. The new season 2 has come out, and the Dragonflight expansion. So what that means, new set of dungeons to grind and gear from, a new raid released. I joined a new guild.
Yeah, you told me you had something to say about your new guild.
What did I have to say about my new guild? What was I gonna say?
So you said you're not doing Mythic anymore. You joined a bunch of new dudes because the other ones dropped out.
Yeah, well, we all just kind of quit after so the last season happened last summer, in June, I think. And we played for a month, and then Diablo 4 came out, and everyone basically just quit and jumped over to Diablo 4, which was fun. I enjoyed that, but we also just kind of quit playing the game at that point. And then I usually just jump back in when new seasons happen, and I grind really hard, and then I stop playing again. That's kind of been my formula that I follow. But currently in that season so a lot of my time is spent playing that. But over the year, I've played several games that we'll talk about later. But yeah, that's about it, without getting into the roots of what all that is.
Cool. I have most recently I beat Alan Wake 2, and I'm I think 4 or 5 trophies away from the platinum, which I'll probably do in New Game Plus, which I was stoked to see their New Game Plus is rolling out as of recording this. I think tomorrow, the 11th. Really dug that game. I don't think I adored every aspect of it, but I did really enjoy it from start to finish. Toward the end, I was kind of ready for it to wrap up, kind of like with Alan Wake 1. It was like by the end of that game, I was like, will you ever end? And, I think it's because Remedy just kind of I think every Remedy game I've ever played, to some degree, there's some aspect of it I don't love. And I think almost every single one of their games slightly overstays their welcome, at least for me. Even Control, I was so stoked I'd finally beat that game. I was like, goodness gracious, finally. And but that being said, is that I love the lore, I love the writing. I really their creativity and art design and writing is very intriguing to me. So that's always usually what keeps me locked in. With Alan Wake 2 in particular, I just love the atmosphere. And the combat didn't land for me always. And I was telling this to you, Jacob, a few days ago, is that there are moments when the game wants you to run for your life and others where it wants you to fight. And it takes a while to kind of figure out which moments those are. But by the end of the game, you kind of pick up on it. And there are moments where I think the combat does really well. And it doesn't feel bad to play. I think all the gunplay feels great. I like the feedback of the damage of the enemies and everything. And the flashlight mechanic is still cool. And all the tools you have at your disposal. But there were moments where there'd be so many enemies. And like I said, tried to determine whether I should run or fight, where it got a little clunky. There's one battle at the end that I won't spoil where you're fighting 100 guys. And it frustrated me a bit. It wasn't overly difficult. It just was kind of annoying. And that said, I've heard, for example, in the Sacred Symbols podcast, Colin was disappointed that there isn't more combat in the game. And I personally like that there's less, because I was overwhelmed by the amount of combat in Alan Wake 2. That was just a full-blown action-adventure game to me. And the combat was fine in that game. I never hated it either. But in this, I like that the reduced amount of Alan Wake 1, yeah. And in the sequel, I like that the fewer battles makes each one more impactful to me, I think. So each battle feels like there's a little more meaning to it versus just fighting something every 3 feet. But I like the story a lot. I really like Saga Anderson in particular as a character and her arc in the game. And I feel like they set up potential DLC, if not a third game eventually. But I will absolutely play DLC if they release it. And I actually look forward to New Game Plus. I don't know if I'm going to jump into it immediately because I'm playing other stuff and there's other games I've been wanting to get to for a while. But solid game for sure. And I was glad to see it won a few awards, the Game Awards, which we'll talk about later. Spidey 2 I platinumed. Preston, I believe you platinumed it as well.
Who didn't?
Probably
No, I said who didn't.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that's probably the easiest platinum I've ever got in my life. Even easier than like Ratchet and Clank 2.
I think the platinum rate on that game is like over 25%, which is crazy.
Which helps because Insomniac games are generally just very fun to play. So I feel like their platinums are designed to be pretty accessible anyway, but it helps that their games are very fun and addicting to play. And Spidey 2, if I were going to rate it myself, if I had been reviewing that game, I would have probably landed on an 8.5. And it's shocking for me to say that because I remember for the last couple of years, I was like, Spidey 2 is going to blow people's minds. It's going to be astounding. Insomniac figured it out with 1 and then Miles Morales, and they're going to capitalize on 3 or on 2. And I think in some ways they did, in other ways they didn't necessarily. And Preston and I have talked about this quite in depth. I can't remember exactly what we covered, but I feel like most of their chips were tossed into the bag of story and character, and other things like open world design and like activities doing the open world were kind of like left to the wayside. And none of the open world stuff is bad. It just was similar to the first game. It's just too repetitive. And some of them I didn't enjoy doing at all. The best part to me was I did like the story. It just didn't hit for me as hard as Miles Morales or even the first game. But I think the web swinging is the best it's ever been. I love turning the swing assist down to 0 and having it as physics-based as possible, and mastering how that feels has been a blast. I love that they added fall damage. So that was a game changer for me, to the point where even long after platining the game, if not once a day, once every couple of days, I'll jump in for 15, 20 minutes just to swing around and fight a couple of crimes and move on. So I did that with the first game too, but it's more enjoyable than ever to traverse that open world. And in some ways, not to dwell on it too long, it did blow my mind. And others, it was a little underwhelming. But overall, solid game. So I liked it. Final Fantasy 16 I'm back to after finishing Alan Wake 2. I've been meaning to get back to that for a while. Just all the other releases this year distracted me.
Tell me how much you like
according
it.
to you guys, I'm kind of close to the end.
Yeah, you're good.
It's like the whole time I'm like, please end.
Garrett,
please
I
end.
understand skipping the pointless things. Like, I have to help mid... this is too much of a spoiler.
Collect all her resources.
Build a ship. It's like, okay. Like,
yeah.
I didn't skip them, but I definitely was like reading the subtitles and like, going through it as fast as possible.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I would skip through some of the dialogue.
Yeah. But like for some of the stuff that you're about to come up to, like I cannot.
All of that stuff I will watch. Let me say this. All the major cutscenes that I know are going to be important, I'll watch all of those. It's all the in-between I skip.
Based on what you just told me, you're to a very like pivotal point in the story. Like I cannot imagine you skipping those cutscenes.
No, I won't skip that stuff. Okay. Yeah, I should have clarified that. I don't skip the really important stuff.
That's fine then. Yeah. I mean
the ending's cool in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean you're to a point where how do I say this without any Dion Bahamut, you're kind of around his point, right? I think that's his name.
I think so.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
The prince.
Yeah.
Right? The guy with the gray hair, white hair, I think, or
it's
is it blonde?
It's
I can't
blonde.
remember.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's like the pretty guy.
Yeah. I was gonna say the effeminate looking gentleman.
Yeah. You don't need to skip.
You still have quite a bit left.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, you still have quite a bit left.
You still have another icon to fight.
Yeah.
Gosh, dude.
But it's cool. Like it's not like, it's a bummer.
There are moments that I really enjoy. I think the thing about the boss battles is that, yes, they're epic, but they're also like giant sponges you whack with your Nerf sword for like 6 hours. And let me say this. I realized that if I played on now remind me, are there difficulty levels in the game, or is there just one difficulty?
I think there's 2, but yeah, I think there's like standard and story or something like that. And then when you beat the game,
okay, because I'm on standard. Because I get like there are moments in some of the boss battles where you have to learn their patterns and dodge and stuff, and that's satisfying to me for sure. But it just takes so long to kill them, to the point where like by the end, like I've been listening to the same epic melody for like 4, maybe like 10 minutes, and I finally beat them. It's like I wish the boss battles were that epic, just like cut in half of length. It's like you just fight them for too long. I feel like, but it is epic. Don't get me wrong. And even like the standard battles are cool, but once you fight a lot of the same enemies and you get used to fighting them, it's like every battle plays out the same way. And like I said, and I know you guys feel the same way, the in-between of doing the most monotonous crap that just screams to me like, we're the development team. We need this game to be longer so people can justify their price and feel like it's a big, meaty RPG. And then you're like, it's like an objective like, go speak to the children. You go talk to like 8 kids where they just talk about something. And it especially like doing stuff around your hideout where it just makes you run back and forth across your hideout for like 10 minutes.
It would have been cool if there were like ways
meaningless.
to transport around the hideout. Because there is a lot of
it's like,
riding
goodness
around.
gracious. It's like things like that just drive me crazy because to me, it just feels like extremely dated game design or just like careless game design.
I think
that feels very JRPG to me.
It feels
those things you're talking about.
That's where I can definitely feel that like the director of this game was the director of Final Fantasy 14 because those are very much so like MMO like quests.
Yeah, those and also those are very like world building quests. Like you come to appreciate other people in the world.
That's what is frustrating about it is because there are some side quests that involve like Torgal, the blacksmith, I'm forgetting his name, that are really flesh their character out, and they are worth doing, but also littered in all of those are just a bunch of useless ones. So it makes
it's like, hey, these bandits are attacking this house that I'm keeping out here.
I need 3 scoops of dirt, please.
Or like most recently, and I feel like I said, I've been getting toward the end, and it's like, go collect the stardust in the desert. I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? It's like things like that is like, man, if you just cut out the fat of this game, I'd like it so much more. And I like the game, don't get me wrong. I just don't love it. And while we're on the subject of Final Fantasy 16, I think moment to moment, the Final Fantasy game I've loved the most is Remake for 7. And I recently had the privilege of going to New York to preview Rebirth for COG. And I played for about an hour and a half, and I am so stoked for that. And I think I was telling Jacob Preston, I think the reason why I like those games more is one, like the way they flow. I enjoy more like the moment to moment, but I also just love those characters so much.
It's hard to beat those characters.
I think Clive and Jill and Torgal and all those people are cool.
Love Clive. Clive was Ben Starr was completely gypped at the Game Awards. He should have won Best Performance. I think Clive is insanely cool.
Clive. I think still to this moment, unless like you said, the ending's amazing. The coolest moment of the game where it's like accept the truth, and you manually have to accept the truth.
There's something equally as epic at the end for sure.
Yeah,
sick, dude. So sick. So Torgal, Jill, he and that poor guy, dude. That meme floating around him getting flashed in the face is so funny. But also playing 16 and the few others I'll touch on quickly. I've played a couple matches at the finals, that new multiplayer shooter with like the heavy destruction. Runs beautifully on my PC, and it's very fun. I just feel like it'd be a lot more fun with friends because it's like team tactical style, or it's three teams of 3. So like, for example, the 3 of us tried it. We can mess around in that, but it's pretty cool to see. Like one example is like you like collect this loot, this like package of cash, and you have to take it to one of 3 objectives to like cash it in, and a timer goes down, and then it kind of turns into King of the Hill where you're defending this place from the other teams. And it's cool to see that, like, say you're inside of a room or on a rooftop and someone blows a hole through the floor, and the objective that you're defending literally falls through the floor, and it's all physics based, and it falls into the floor below you, and you have to like jump down there. Or if you're like inside a wall, someone will blow the wall out and like knock it through a wall. And it's crazy that all the physics play into the destruction. You can really make each match your own by manipulating the environment. And gunplay feels pretty good. And there's different sidearms and abilities and like lethal and tactical equipment that kind of manipulates the way you play the game too. So it's pretty interesting. I say it's worth trying. It's free to play too, and it's crossplay. So Finals has been cool. I have personally grown to really enjoy Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. And on one hand, like the nostalgia aspect of all the old maps has been great, but I've also just really gotten the flow of playing well consistently, even with the intense skill-based matchmaking, and I've really enjoyed that game. And it's funny because I have a great KD, but my win-loss ratio is hysterical how bad it is, dude. I kid you not. I'm not even trying to be funny. I lose almost every single match, but play amazingly, which is the weirdest juxtaposition, dude. So that's kind of frustrating, but I have enjoyed that. And I tried out the new Warzone map with Andy briefly last night, and it was pretty cool. I think we landed in the top 3 or 4 a couple of times. I haven't won yet, but New map's pretty cool. So Modern Warfare 3, not bad considering the circumstances under which it was developed. So the campaign I will never play based on Preston's feedback and everyone else I've heard that's played it.
I cannot believe the campaign. It blew my that is also something I just completely forgot about that I've been playing recently. Before MW3 even came out, I was just super in the mood for COD campaigns for some reason. So I had never played through the Modern Warfare reboot on PlayStation, so I played through that and platinumed it because it was just super easy platinum. And I do want to say, just to play the campaign for the Modern Warfare reboot was the most obtuse, complicated thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I literally stuck the disc in. It downloaded like COD HQ. Then I had to download like 3 different things to even get to it. And I would like click on the campaign button and it would tell me, oh, you still need to download other things. It's like, I just want to play the campaign. Like, this is ridiculous. So I finally got to play that. Had a lot of fun. I tried playing through the Modern Warfare 2 campaign again, and I got to the final level, but I was kind of disappointed in how I liked it way less than Modern Warfare 1. And then, of course, I played through 3, absolutely hated it. I think I beat it in one sitting. It was god-awful. Cannot believe how freaking bad it was. But, I'm just repeating what everybody else has said. So I actually played through the original Modern Warfare 3. I had it on PC, so I thought I'd play through it, and was just blown away by how freaking cool that campaign is. There are so many just epic moments, and just after every level I was like, how is this so much better than basically everything we're getting nowadays? So then I started playing through the original Black Ops campaign as well, and just was thinking the exact same thing. So I don't know how we have just had so many cool COD campaigns back in the day, and everything.
Well, it's just become, it's not important anymore to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last truly great COD campaign we had was Infinite Warfare. That campaign is fantastic, and of course everybody crapped all over that game, so they probably were just like, whatever, So
I was going to say, at some point I'd love to replay that campaign again, because I love it so much.
Yeah, that campaign's incredible. But I know that Treyarch's been working on, I think it's going to be called Gulf War, I think is what all the leaks have been. They've been working on that game for a while. I think they've been working on this COD longer than any other Call of Duty. I think I read that. It's been 4 years or something. So I really hope they can actually put out a campaign that's worth playing. But like you, I have enjoyed at least Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer, despite the skill-based matchmaking. That is just atrocious. But
it is intense, yeah.
This is the second straight year for me where I haven't played Call of Duty, and I'm kind of happy,
Yeah, I was telling Garrett I haven't really played any competitive shooter in the longest time. When I lived with my parents, a while ago, their internet, it was so bad it wasn't even worth me trying to play online, because it was just a laggy mess. So I actually have, fiber where I'm at now. So, now I'm like, oh yeah, I can finally play stuff. So of course the first game I hop back in is, just infested with skill-based matchmaking, where I have to be sweating my, butt off to even, do relatively well. So it's just become just super frustrating. I just want to sit down and, casually play a game. But this really isn't the one to do that with. So, but nonetheless, it is still fun. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I've always there's always been a competitive bone in my body, gaming wise, for shooters in particular, just because I always find them just very stimulating, hand-eye coordination, the mental aspect, especially in shooters nowadays. Especially modern Call of Duty is so much faster than it used to be, that you have to really, to play well, especially in Modern Warfare 3, you got to really be locked in, and I find that enjoyable. Not that I can't get that same feeling from a story-based game I'm really engaged by, but with that, if you want to play well, you have to focus solely on what you're doing, and it kind of helps you escape the world for a little bit. And I also like knowing that I am defeating real players is satisfying to me. So the idea of having to be totally locked in, solely focused on that one thing, and also taking out real players.
Have you seen the I need to send it to you, but some massive Call of Duty YouTuber has I probably should watch the whole video before I say anything, but his theory, I think he proves it in his video, that they put bots that have like godlike aim into the games to like balance them out. Have you seen anything like that?
I've heard that rumor. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. It could, I don't know if it's the same in Halo or not. Halo bots are usually easy to pick out because they have 343 in their name. But speaking of Halo Infinite's come a long way. Standard multiplayer's been super fun. I played a lot with Zach and Andy. A lot of great new modes. All the Forge stuff has been sick. I love that they implement the Forge stuff into matchmaking when they're good. The Halo 3 playlist has been fun, but the sweatiest playlist of all time, which is also heavily affected by skill-based matchmaking. But most recently, the reason I bring that up is because they finally added Firefight to the game, and it's actually called Firefight King of the Hill. And it's interesting because you're basically playing a King of the Hill match with like waves and waves of banished AI. And the thing about the Halo Infinite campaign is that like the open world stuff was good, but the individual missions weren't always great. So I didn't love the campaign, but fighting the Covenant, fighting the Banished has just always been fun in every Halo game. So I've always enjoyed Firefight. And it's fun to play in Firefight Heroic because it's pretty difficult and you have to play pretty well to succeed. And there's bosses, and if for example you get through one wave defending your first King of the Hill objective and you succeed and no one in your team dies, it'll add a skull, like a modifier to your match that adds something crazy, like now all the grunts are suicidal and will charge at you with grenades, or it'll add like certain enemies are invisible, or you'll get like a boost yourself for these skull modifiers. It's like the better you play, the wackier the match gets, which is pretty cool. And all that XP goes toward your overall rank, so it isn't like you're just playing for fun, which is also cool. But they did a really good job with that mode, and it's a good breather from the competitive multiplayer side of things to just chill with your buds and shoot aliens. So that's been cool. And lastly, I jumped back into Fortnite to try the Lego mode because when I saw that announced, it's like something, my dormant childhood within me was like reawakened again. So I played a lot of Lego games as a kid. Most notably Lego Island 2 with pepperoni. That was his catchphrase. But that was like an open world Lego game. So I was like, well, I obviously have to play this mode. So it's definitely Minecraft meets Lego. But which is funny about that is when I first played Minecraft, I'm like, wow, this is kind of like virtual Legos, but it's just like cube people. And then like Lego comes back after all these years and does the fully realized version of that. And I barely scratched the surface. I've been playing survival mode, but it looks so gorgeous. It plays buttery smooth. It's very intuitive. And all the crazy stuff I've seen on Twitter, people just doing the wackiest stuff you can imagine, has also been really interesting. So I'd rather play with buds. It's been cool playing by myself, but I think it'd be a lot more fun playing with friends. But that's been really cool. The Psionics racing mode is also very impressive. So Fortnite is, I didn't realize until I jumped back in, it's a platform now where not only they have original Fortnite created content, but fan-made, community-driven game modes that just this huge list of stuff you can try. So it's a fascinating game what it becomes. It's the beginning. So
I saw they added back
cool.
the original map. A lot of people were excited about that. The Battle Royale.
Yeah, I haven't played that yet, but the few times I played Battle Royale with Zach and Andy, and in a good way, how ridiculous it is. Like 1 second Goku's flying on a Nimbus cloud toward you, and then you have Darth Vader with a lightsaber and like Spider-Man swinging around. It's like Attack on Titan. It's like, and even like the creativity of like you kill Peter Griffin in the game and it does that thing where it's like, every time you kill him, he does that. Yeah. So that game is fascinating to me.
Yeah, I've always appreciated Fortnite overall from afar. It's never really been my cup of tea, though.
Yeah.
But the Lego mode sounds really cool.
I can't stand just how it's like the cool thing to hate Fortnite. It's like, I don't even play Fortnite. I have no interest in it at all, but I'm just constantly just beyond impressed every time I see them, put stuff out, especially recently, like you said, with the Lego and the racing and Harmonix's, music game and just like all the characters. Like it is unreal. It's just the amount of stuff you can do in that game for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
I forgot I did have one more thing that I was playing that I can hit on really quick.
What'd you play?
Assassin's Creed Nexus. The VR Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, that's what it's called. I didn't know how it specific.
What VR did you play it on?
I'm playing it on the Quest 2. Okay. Very, very, very cool. Probably one of the more impressive VR games I've played. Just being able to flick your hidden blade out with your hand. You push a button and you literally flick your wrist and it pops out. And you can you like literally crouch to sneak and you just go up behind people and just stab them in the butt, basically, if you want. It's so cool. The parkour is very cool, for it to be a first-person VR thing. Only VR game that will make me nauseous, though, after about an hour. So,
I can imagine.
I have I'm sure if I messed with the comfort settings, I could figure it out, but I have everything turned off. So I'm just literally flying around, jumping from 40-foot buildings, grabbing onto things. So very, very cool, but yeah, it does make me sick. But that is something that I've been playing, in between everything. So very much enjoying it.
That's cool.
I'd like to experience VR again because I haven't played anything VR.
Dude,
in a long
I want
time.
to play the RE4 remake VR mode so bad, and I'm trying.
Cool.
I'm trying to think of every reason to justify buying a PSVR 2, but
yeah.
Oh, that's the only way you can play it? Oh, no wonder.
Yeah.
Dude. Dang.
So there's, there needs to be a few more things come up before I could bite the bullet on, spending
Garrett.
Yeah, I guess.
Garrett, if you ever got a PSVR 2, we should totally do another Resident Evil playthrough.
Yeah, I would do that gladly with you. Because I said we have no excuse because Jacob and I can walk to each other's places these days. So
we should all invest in one and then share it.
Yeah. It'll be the
it's
team
my
unit.
week.
Yeah. Preston, you've also been playing what's the portable?
The
PlayStation
PS Portal
thing?
Yeah. So my wife is massive reader, and I'll be just hanging out with her a lot while she's reading, and I'll be either on my phone or watching TV. And this was several months ago. It's man, I really wish I could play PlayStation and still spend time with her while we're doing so, because my game room up here, I don't really have anywhere for her to sit, and that's kind of been her main complaint, because she does like to watch me play games. She watched me play through RE4. She's been watching me play through Alan Wake 2 as well, so there are certain games she likes to watch me play. But anyways, needless to say, I thought about getting one of the backbones just to play remotely next to her. But I just never really bit the bullet. So of course, when the PS Portal was announced, that was kind of right up my alley. So, yeah, dude, I've been playing it a ton, and I think it's great. Especially for the Kingdom Hearts grinding, synthesis items or whatever, things that I really don't have to be paying too much attention to. Yeah, it works out fantastic for that. It feels really good. With my internet set up here, there's hardly any input lag or anything like that, and it's a really, really cool device, and I've been very pleased with it. So yeah, I've been playing that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think maybe one day I'll have a justified reason to have one myself. I actually think the price is very fair. Personally, I think it's a great price.
Yeah, I mean, when you think that I have a DualSense Edge, the Pro controller, it costs the same amount as that. So
yeah,
when you really think about it that way, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't have a great reason for one yet, but I think it's cool that it exists. Yeah. So perhaps one day.
For sure.
Jacob, you got anything else before we move on?
Nope.
All right, let's all pull up this article and look at these game releases per month, and if any of them stand out to you, we'll talk about them. But there's only a handful for me.
By the way,
they're wrong.
Yeah, the release dates on them are wrong.
Oh, that's fine. As long as the titles are in there, because I don't remember.
All right,
half of what I played this year.
Forspoken. I know we all jumped into that this year.
Totally. Didn't you actually play it a little bit?
I played the demo, and
you Forspoke.
I also played the demo.
That was about it. I'm sure it's not as bad as everybody said it was, but I'm not interested in it.
Yeah. You play Hi-Fi Rush?
I played a little bit of it. It was it was shadow dropped, and I think I have it on. I think I bought it on Steam because I was gonna play it on the Steam Deck, but I never really got around to it. But from what I played, it was very cool. So I definitely need to go back to that at some point. Dead Space.
Remake?
So Jacob, did you play that?
Nope, I did not.
Yeah, so I have a weird relationship with Dead Space. I can never beat the first game. I've attempted to play it, I swear, 5 or 6 times. Even back on 360, I tried to play it. I've tried to play it on PC several years later. I got, the remake. I think I'm maybe more than halfway through, but something about it, dude, just does not click with me. I don't know what it is, but I can't play it. I don't know. It's like I don't know if it's the combat. It's got to be the combat, because I think the Ishimura, the ship itself, is super cool. I think the story's interesting, but I don't feel like led to play it for some reason. So yeah, I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, I really liked the remake. I thought it was gorgeous. I always loved the original too. I played all the way through 1, 2, and I've gotten to the very end of 3. And the only reason I haven't finished 3 is because I hit this checkpoint where I had no health, and I had no health packs, and I go into this big boss fight with literally like an ounce of health, and I can't beat it because of that. So I'm like locked into that checkpoint. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But I really like the remake a lot. Combat for me, I have always dug, but a big part of it for me too is the atmosphere, and the atmosphere was better than ever in the remake, which I thought was cool, because obviously graphically it's stunning what they achieved. But I hope they do a remake of 2, perhaps, because 2 is a really fun game as well. But that said, not to jump too far ahead, but I definitely, between that and Resident Evil 4 remake, I definitely prefer Resident Evil 4. Like,
if you
that
say
game is incredible
Dead Space
to me.
remake's better than RE4 remake, you're wrong.
Yeah, I think people are out of their mind for thinking that. Absolutely out of their mind. But yeah, Dead Space, I personally had a good time with. Anything else in January that stands out to you, Preston?
Not really. Besides, I think Dead Space was definitely the biggest thing to really come out the year. I never played Fire Emblem Engage.
Me either.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for January.
Okay, apart from Hogwarts in February, I know you played Metroid Prime Remastered, right?
Yeah, I love Metroid Prime Remastered. I think that game is phenomenal. It looks absolutely beautiful on the Switch.
Really?
Oh yeah, the game looks incredible.
I've been thinking about playing that one.
I just love the vibe of that game, dude. There's no voice acting. The story is laid out through like collectibles that you find. It's just that game gives you like this feeling of like isolation, unlike really any other game that I've played. Like, you just land on this planet, you don't know why you're there, you're just kind of figuring it out as you go. And I can see why that would be one of the... That's probably my biggest complaint with the game, is you probably will have to look at a guide to see where to go at some point, because the game does this thing where it'll kind of tell you're lost, and it'll be like, oh, you should probably go to this point of the map. But I feel like there should be an option for you to tell the game sooner than it, like... Does that make sense? I feel like you have to wander around way too long for it to tell you, like, oh, you should probably go over here. So I feel like if it sped that up a little bit, new players would enjoy it a lot more. But yeah, the new controls and stuff, it's obviously on the GameCube version, you didn't have 2 sticks to, aim like a traditional FPS. And the Wii version, which I had just recently played through that a few years ago, fixes that with its controls, but it plays like a traditional FPS now, with dual sticks on the Switch version. But like I said, yeah, it looks great. It's just a really, really, really freaking good game. I cannot wait for Metroid Prime 4. I really hope they redo the 2 and 3 as well, in this style.
I bet they will.
I definitely hope so. I actually bought Garrett that game as well for your birthday.
I have a physical copy of Metroid Prime Remastered, so it's very much on my list. It's like number 3 on my list right now after Final Fantasy 16, and I'll probably jump into it sooner than later if I travel again. It's just my last few trips I've traveled on, I think I'm gonna have time to play Switch, and I don't, unfortunately. So that's why I haven't started yet. But I very much look forward to playing that big time.
I look forward to hearing what you say about it. It's great.
Boys, Hogwarts. This was a big one for the 3 of us.
Yeah, I liked that game a lot initially.
Initially.
And I still enjoyed it overall. It was just, at a certain point in that game, I stopped caring about the end goal, the narrative completely. And like the happiness and the magic of being at Hogwarts kind of faded as well, just because of how, I don't know, like it wasn't grindy, but it was just, there was so much like side stuff that I didn't care about, like the the animals, for example, that you kept in like your little hideout. I didn't care about any of that stuff at all. And like every time I had to do something for a quest, I was like, ugh, like this isn't the part of like Hogwarts that I like, or Harry Potter in general. But like the magical beast stuff. But the game has a lot of charm, and I really appreciate it for that, because I think it's easily the best Harry Potter game we've ever gotten. And hopefully they can. I know, Garrett, you mentioned they're doing like this Quidditch mode, and I'm not really sure how that's going, or if they're doing like betas and stuff for it still. But
the Quidditch,
that's something I'm really
interested. The Quidditch game
in.
is separate. It's
separate.
Yeah, I know it's
I
separate.
did play one of the play tests for that. I think I signed an NDA, so I'm technically not supposed to talk about it. But and just out of fear of
I wouldn't say
anything happening, I'm not going to say anything. But I have played that game. It exists, and I am excited to play more of that someday. But Hogwarts Legacy, how do you feel about it, Preston?
I think you guys,
I haven't beaten.
You guys
it yet
are a
either.
bunch of Harry Potter posers. Because
I haven't even said how I feel about it.
I know how
just
you
haven't
feel
finished
about
it.
it. I absolutely loved the game and could not put it down. That's all I played until I platinumed it. I could not get enough of basically anything in that game. All the Merlin trials, as repetitive as they are, I was eating them up, man. I was playing on the hardest difficulty as well, so like the combat was super engaging, especially towards the end. It got pretty difficult, so when I would die in fights, it wasn't frustrating at all. I just I don't know, it was exciting having to use like all the combos and stuff that I had learned to get through those really tough fights. I enjoyed the story. It wasn't anything like incredible. But it was good enough to keep me going. I enjoyed quite a few of the side characters, like Sebastian's story. I thought was really interesting. I liked Poppy's story as well, with the magical creatures and stuff. I probably cared a little bit less about I can't even remember her name, the Gryffindor lady.
Yeah. The girl from, I think it was Africa.
Yeah, she's the
country there.
Crap, what is it called? The Animungus. What are they called?
She's turned into animals or something.
I forget the name for them.
Yeah.
But her story was okay. But yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. The worst part was getting the final 3 trophies where you have to play through each house up until a certain point. Dude, that was so freaking boring. And I will say, dude, what's funny is I was a Hufflepuff my first playthrough, and the Hufflepuff definitely has the best exclusive mission by far. You go to Azkaban for the Hufflepuff mission. So yeah, really? Slytherin's was so dumb. I don't even know the point.
Yeah, that's
you literally just go to like a cave. Like nothing happens. Gryffindor's was probably in second. Ravenclaw's was kind of boring, and Slytherin's was the worst for sure. But yeah, love that game. My wife also absolutely loves this game. I actually bought her a Series X just to play this game. When we met and stuff, she had a Series. No, she just had an OG Xbox, and I was like, you can't, play Hogwarts Legacy on this.
Not in my house.
So she's a massive Harry Potter fan, and she is kind of. She's in a position where she's at the very end of the game, but she doesn't want it to end. Sorry, hear my cat.
It's okay.
So, but yeah, she's at the very end as well, and she loves it. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, although I haven't finished it, very much feel the same. I mean, in many ways, it is the game we had always dreamt of and imagined when we were kids. For well over a decade we fantasized about, and it fulfilled a lot of those dreams. The only thing missing from me was Quidditch. I'm thinking we're getting a Quidditch game in the future, but it would have been cool if that was baked into the game somehow. But apart from that, the only reason I didn't finish it is because I took so much time doing all the side stuff in the game that I wasn't even halfway through the story by the time other games started rolling out. So that's the only reason I haven't finished it yet. It's just because other games started coming out and I wanted to play them. But I absolutely exhausted all the side stuff for hours and hours and hours. I have like well over 40 hours in the game, I believe. And I tried to role play the absolute heck out of it, dude. I tried to walk most places instead of fast travel. I would change up my hairstyle every semester as if I was like the seasons were changing to like do that. I would change my my clothes depending on the weather and like where if I was inside or outside. Like I would take all the extra time to role play as much as possible, because I'm the psycho that I would have been fine if it was a full blown student simulator and had no like original story. Like I would have been fine. It's like you go to class. This is how crazy I am about Harry Potter, dude. I would literally, if it's like, we need you to write an essay in this video game, I would be willing to go to the school library and physically read a fictional magic book and then type on a keyboard an actual essay for my homework in the game. Like, that's how crazy I am about a Harry Potter simulator. So the story to me is like, it's fine, but like I could have been fine even without that because I just wanted to exist in that world. So I also really loved it. It's going to be hard for me to get back into it, especially with the combat, because I have no memory of how it feels to play. I remember liking it a lot. Obviously I played so many games since then. It'll take me a minute to get used to it, but I will jump back into that eventually. Normally this time of year, I'm like well into rewatching the movies, but I haven't even started this year yet, which is crazy to say. So when I get around to watching those again, I know I'm going to be dying to get back into that game. And that's why I'm more grateful than ever that it exists, because my whole life watching those movies, I'm like, yeah, we have the movie game. Some of them are hit or miss, but imagine if we had like our own character in this world. And we have that now. And it's a shame it wasn't even remotely recognized at the Game Awards. And the Game Awards are like a whole thing we'll talk about later. That's kind of whatever at this point. But it's a shame that it wasn't even remotely recognized in any categories. That game succeeds in many areas. I feel like I don't think it probably would have won anything, but at least being recognized would have been cool. So
yeah,
I look forward to get back to it. But that's all I really have to say about Hogwarts Legacy for now. Anything else in February standing out to you guys? Like Octopath Traveler 2? Did you play that, Preston?
Demo. I can't get into those games.
It's a shame that I haven't played that yet, because I heard it's even better than the first one, and I liked the first one a lot. I think Jason Schreier is actually one of those people that I see always talk about that game and how much he liked it. And I've heard there's another buddy that I play WoW with that really, really likes Octopath Traveler 2. So he's been dying for me to try
We'll
it,
get to a old schoolish type RPG that I cannot wait to gush about for sure.
Is it one that won best quote unquote indie game at the Game Awards?
It did.
Okay.
I was so pumped about that.
Yep. Cool.
Did you guys play that Kirby game that came out?
I want to, because that's a remake of a Game Boy game that I used to play all the time as a kid. The Return to Dreamland, I believe. Yeah, dude, yeah. I had that. My dad was a assistant principal at the time, and he would confiscate Game Boys from kids, and if they didn't come get their stuff at the end of the year, he would just give it to us. And I got a Game Boy with Kirby Dreamland one time, and dude played.
Ooh.
That's crazy to me that a kid their parents would never come.
Yeah, dude,
get
me
that.
and my sister had Game Boys with like games and stuff from just confiscated kids stuff.
Yeah, just left behind.
So
man,
that's
crazy.
a big money saver for dad.
So that was one of the games that I got, and I freaking loved it. So I at some point I will definitely go back and play that for sure.
In March, the only one for me is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we talk about
one
that?
of the oh no, I thought you were what else? Let me see.
That was the only one that I played that month.
I want.
Dude, did we miss? Where's Jedi? Did we skip over Jedi? Or was Jedi later?
No, it came out after that. I think it was April or May.
Okay.
I
Cool.
wanted to play Wulong Fallen Destiny. I think I'll go back to that at some point, but I know that came out that year.
Why am I forgetting what that's like? It sounds so familiar.
It's a I think Team Ninja like Souls-like game. Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
I've heard it's pretty good. But yeah, RE4 Remake was definitely the star of that month. And dude, I will stand by. I know I was caught up in the moment and stuff, but and I was, Garrett, as I was playing through it, I know we were talking briefly, but I think that's definitely in my top 5 favorite games of all time.
Really?
The remake or just the game in general?
I absolutely love that game. That's one of the few games I've played in recent memory where, like, from start to finish, I was just smiling the entire time. Because, the OG RE4, I've played it a million times. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So this is the first, like, remake of a game that I know inside and out. So just seeing everything they changed, how they mixed up a few things, and dude, on top of adding a separate ways, which added in a bunch of stuff that they took out of the remake, I like I said, I think it's one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely love the game. The combat loop is phenomenal. It's gorgeous. I love the story. I love the characters. I
Characters are
truly love
phenomenal in
everything
that
about the game. I absolutely love it.
You want to hear a hot take?
I don't know if I'm ready.
Sure.
It's not that hot of a take. I like RE2 more than
Ugh.
personally.
You're not the only person to say that.
I love RE2 so much, and not that I didn't enjoy RE4, but I think 2 is just a perfect.
RE2's good, but man, dude, just shooting somebody in the head and just roundhouse kicking them like across the freaking map is just unbeatable.
Also, the variety of weapons and how crazy you can get in the post game and everything is just so
the
satisfying.
knife parrying.
Oh, dude,
it's just
so sick.
It's amazing.
Cool.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I also adore that game, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, not to have our Game of the Year spoil our Game of the Year talk, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be my Game of the Year, is Resident Evil 4 Remake. There are a few others I also loved almost equally, but that game, like you said, for me as well. I'd only played the original one time on PS4, not even, I mean, it was like a year and a half before the remake came out. So I don't know it like the back of my hand, but it was fresh enough to pick up on a few moments here and there that were also interesting for me. But I even liked it on PS4 a lot, but this remake was exceptional to me in every way. Just to like echo everything you said, I very much feel the same way. And that moment to moment from beginning to end is probably the most fun I had playing a game all year long. And that's saying a lot because I also loved most of Spider-Man 2's gameplay, but I think everything in 4 gameplay wise, not even mentioning like the characters and story, hit for me on every level. So absolutely adore playing that game.
I beat that game well over 10 times this year.
Yeah, that's amazing to me, dude, because you had beaten it. I was nearing the end of my first playthrough, and you're like, "Oh, I'm on playthrough number 5." I was like, "What?"
Dude,
I was like, "Holy
I have it
crap,
on
dude."
PC and PS5, and I platinumed it on PS5, and I'm almost got all the achievements on Steam. So combining
That's
both
crazy
versions,
to me, dude.
I've beaten it well over 10 times. And it's...
Yeah. And I get once you play through it once, the longest playthrough easily is the first one, just
dude,
given the nature of how you're unlocking
that's my favorite
stuff.
thing about our Resident Evil games is just it's their, you know, the first playthrough is tense and like super like survivally, you know, getting all your materials, and just the playthroughs after that, you're just a monster, destroying everything. It's just so fun.
Yeah, dude.
I think that was one of my biggest gripes with the game, actually, now that you just reminded me. Like, I felt like I could never craft anything or make anything, unlike 2, where I felt like I could always make stuff. Is that
I mean,
weird?
it's RE4, you're not really... It's definitely more of an action game as opposed to 2. I mean, that's what I love, is Leon is just a badass dude. You're just going to go in there and just kick everybody's ass. Like, that's why I love it.
And this, I know this, like, I'm not really like trying to shit on the game, but I wasn't crazy about how Leon moved. Like, I understand, like, they made a lot of improvements and they made it, you know, really good for the
like
remake,
the feeling of it.
I just the feeling of it. Like, I just feel like moving through the world on 2 felt a lot better for me.
Interesting.
Than 4. Yeah.
To each their own.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, most certainly.
And then shout out to Separate Ways as well. Phenomenal DLC for $10, dude. Like, you play as Ada, basically.
Yeah,
seeing what's going on while Leon's doing his thing. And like I said previously, dude, any boss fights that were missing that were added in this mode, the classic laser scene that's missing from RE4, they have in here. So. Yeah, I think there's only one thing from the OG that's missing, and that's the robot Salazar that you outrun at the clock tower. That's completely missing, but that would be completely out of place in this game. But besides that, pretty much everything's in both in the game and the DLC.
Maybe I just need to play it again.
You only played through it one time?
Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, you gotta play through it again.
Yeah, especially if I mean, there's a bunch of fun weapons to unlock, but just go for the hand cannon first. I can't remember the exact name in the game, but that thing is, and especially if you get the infinite ammo upgrade for it, that is one of the most satisfying things you can do in that game. Is just obliterate everything with that gun,
dude.
with infinite ammo.
My newest
Sounds fun.
playthroughs now, I'm running through with an infinite rocket launcher, Chicago typewriter, infinite ammo hand cannon. Like it's just so fun.
I bet it's easy.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's why it's fun.
I did like kind of feeling challenged, like in the first playthrough. Like I had to, conserve my shots.
Yeah,
make sure they were
the
good
game on
shots.
professional is pretty freaking hard, but it's super rewarding.
Yeah.
So if you definitely
I think I just
if you
played
definitely
regular.
want what you unlock professional beating the game once. So if you want more of like
Mm-hmm.
an RE2 like thing where like you truly are like scavenging for materials and want something more like survival horror, then I would definitely try it on professional. You'll get that
Okay. Appreciate that.
for sure.
Gentlemen, games in April. Apart from Jedi, anything for you? Jedi's the only one for me.
Dead Island 2 came out, which I want to get to at some point, but I didn't play through it when it came out. Yeah, I think basically Jedi is pretty much the only thing that month.
I didn't play anything that month.
You didn't play Jedi?
No, I didn't.
Did you play Fallen Order?
Yeah, I played the first
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I think Survivor's awesome. Preston, I was going to let you talk about it first.
Yeah, I enjoyed Survivor. I effed up and got it on PC. Mainly because Garrett was reviewing it, and he told me that the performance on PS5 was not good. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just get it on PC. Well, little did I know it would be even worse, on PC. So yeah, my time on PC was not good, dude. I had to download like a DLSS mod to make it even somewhat playable. The frame rate was abysmal. And, I've got a 13700K, 32 gigs of RAM, a 4070 Ti. Like I've got a really, really good PC and could not run this game. So that was extremely frustrating, but even with all of that, I still beat the game and thought the game itself was very good and enjoyable. So I actually have it on PS5 as well. And I've heard that the performance is basically a locked 60 on there at this point, so I do want to get back to it and play through it on console. But yeah, just disregarding all the performance issues, the game itself is very good, but they definitely needed to let this game cook for quite a bit longer, I think.
Are there more characters this time around, like that you can like quest with or interact with in the world? Like what parts of the game did they build on? I guess
It's definitely like there's a hub planet that's kind of open worldy. So there's a lot more like exploration. There's a lot more combat styles that you can switch between. You can unfortunately only have 2 at a time though. Which that's probably one of my biggest complaints, is that you're not able to switch between all of them at will. The new characters that are added are pretty cool, I would say. Of course, the characters from the first one are back, and they're what's the chick's name, Garrett? The
alien woman. I can't remember her name. I can't remember anyone's name.
You kind of meet her at the end of Fallen Order, so she's in the entire game basically this time. So she's a really cool character. So it was cool to see more of her and Cal's relationship. I actually really liked. Any other new? There is one new character that stands out for several reasons, not to spoil, but I don't really remember any of the other characters that were introduced. I don't know. It's been quite a bit since I played that game, and I don't remember a lot of it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I actually went back to watch some of my review last night because I knew we'd be talking about it today. Because I couldn't remember I remember how I felt about it. I just couldn't remember like all the certain moments of the game. But looking back on it, dude, I really, really love the game. That's probably my number 2 of the year after Resident Evil 4 Remake, because on the highest difficulty, or at least on the higher difficulties, I think the combat's super fun. I loved mastering the combat stances. I loved that they were designed in a way where you didn't have to master like a ton of different combos. There were some combos that were a little more complex than others, but more often than not, a lot of the button prompts for each stance were similar, so you could feel like you could master each one pretty easily. I like that while there are enemy types that cater to certain combat stances, you weren't locked into using specific ones per enemy. You could really get creative with all those. I really enjoyed the combat stances. I loved each of the planets. I thought they were very thoughtfully and creatively designed to navigate and unlock and discover. And like Preston said, Kobo, the big hub world, in some areas ran just fine on PS5, and others it struggled greatly. Even after the day 1 patch, when I was reviewing the game, it still wasn't perfect. And from what I understand, it's come a long way in PS5 as well. It's still not flawless, unfortunately, but Kobo in and of itself was really impressive, just considering that they didn't spend that much time on developing the sequel, and that planet alone really blew my mind. But that was my only minor gripe of the game, even in my review, was the performance. And some of the story stuff didn't land for me too much because I felt some of the characters were underdeveloped and some of it was predictable as well. But I think what the story in the game sets up for the inevitable third game is very exciting to think about. So really dug that as well. I loved all the customization for Cal. So it really, and I also love, I was talking to Preston about this after we platinum Spider-Man 2, is that I feel like Spider-Man, like I said, with the open world activities, didn't maximize the gameplay mechanics very well. Like they could have done so much more mechanically with Spider-Man that they just kind of like left to the wayside, unfortunately. Whereas Jedi, when they didn't even have to do this, really maximized the mechanics in the game. Like the combat arenas, they're the parkour Jedi tears where you have to like master the parkour, and some of those are crazy complicated and intense. And if I remember, I did platinum the game now that I remember correctly, and that was also a fun platinum. And there's some genuinely challenging trophies to unlock, which were satisfying. So mechanically, I just thought it was beautiful. I love how they maximize everything you do in that game, from the parkour to the combat. Exciting story set up for the third game, and the design of all the planets was very creative and thoughtful. So just overall, even moment to moment, like I think that was like my thing for this year playing games. Is like if the moment to moment engages me and I'm having fun, those have been my favorite games of the year. And both Resident Evil 4 Remake and Jedi Survivor, moment to moment, I've had the most fun with this year. So I really, really dug that game, and I doubt I'll ever have a reason to go back to it. I even made a video for COG about like my DLC ideas that I still would love to see, which I doubt will come out because it sounds like they're just going to move on to the next one at this point. But solid game if you... I'm a pretty lukewarm Star Wars fan these days, but I believe that since the Disney acquisition, Respawn has produced the very best Star Wars content beyond all the shows, beyond all the movies, that consistently Respawn's nailed it. So that's been the best Star Wars fix for me since the Disney acquisition, are those games. Gentlemen, games in May, what stands out to you?
Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Redfall?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, some of the rough games this year have been hilarious to watch some of these reviews.
Did you guys ever see the video game donkey of Gollum?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, anything donkey releases, I've definitely seen.
I think the only one that I played from this month was Tears of the Kingdom, but I didn't play it until like a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's definitely my number 2 game of the year for sure. Bordering on one, dude. So here's the thing with Tears of the Kingdom is I still haven't finished it. And I don't know when I'm going to finish it because I have this, and it's not because I don't absolutely love this game. I have some sort of comfort knowing that I still have a Zelda game to finish because I know that the next one isn't going to come out until I'm in my 40s, basically. So just knowing that I still have this game gives me some like ounce of like comfort, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and I am squeezing every bit of gameplay I possibly can from it as well. Like I think I've almost got all the shrines. I have like 5 left. I'm like maxing out every single piece of equipment I've had. I still have like 2 or 3 dungeons left, and I've well over like 150 hours in the game. So I'm just, getting absolutely everything before I even want to beat it. So
you only own 2 of the The
I think
shrines
I've
or whatever?
beaten
Whatever they're called?
3 of the main dungeons, and I found another one that on accident. So I'm pretty sure there's like 2 left. So I still have the fire temple left, and then another one. But yeah, it's been so long since that game came out, even though it really hasn't. I've just played so many things since then. But I don't even know where to start with that game. It just built on everything that Breath of the Wild did so well, and just that game, just the sense of exploration is it's unmatched. Like, I believe the first time I even got over to Hyrule Castle, I spent maybe 2 days just exploring it inside and out, just finding things in that game, whether it be from like armor to weapons and stuff. It's just so rewarding exploring the new abilities that you have, like the ascend ability.
There's so much.
Yeah, just like figuring out how to do puzzles it's just they do it better than anybody else. Just the ways you just traverse the world. Just to now, I just have like basically like a Green Goblin glider that I just fly around the entire map with.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude, it's I don't even really know, like I said, what to say about the game. It's just incredible.
I love
Jacob,
finding
have you
the
started
little
it?
teardrops. Yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't played nearly as much as Preston. I think I did one of the little Guardian fights or whatever. One of the 5. I did like the one that's the wind-based one that you.
Oh, dude, that's one of the best ones of the game. Is discovering the Wind Temple. I was just like, holy crap, it's unreal.
Yeah, I enjoyed all of the story revolving around that. Like you like have to climb up to the thing in the sky. Like that was so fucking cool.
Epic boss fight too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that boss fight was cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I really think the underground area is fascinating, and also, skydiving from, the towers that you shoot up in. Thought that was really cool. What about you, Garrett?
So I've completed all the primary 4 temples. There may be more beyond that. I'm not sure.
I think there's,
but I've beaten all 4 of those. I've done a lot of the shrines as well, not all of them, but I really have like played the heck out of that game. I probably have like 50, 60-ish hours, maybe less. I can't remember, but I've done a lot of it. And I have also loved every moment of that game. It's just another one of those games that by the time I was getting deep into it, something else came out that distracted me. So I have every intention to go back and complete that game. But like what Preston was saying, I think it's like Breath of the Wild fully realized. And it's like the epitome of player creativity and freedom. Like there are a few games that give you freedom like Tears of the Kingdom does. And to this day, the things I see on Twitter, people creating in that game absolutely blow my mind. And inspires me to think outside the box when solving puzzles as well. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's one thing to have the tools at your disposal in Breath of the Wild to make creating or solving some of those shrine puzzles creative, but it's more creative than ever with the abilities you have in this game, which is just astounding to me. And it's absolutely a remarkable achievement. And I'm stoked to play more of that as well. It's been such a remarkable year of so many great games that it's been hard for me to stick with longer games like that all the way through before I carry on. Yeah. So very, very excited to go back to that, but I think it's an absolutely brilliant video game and amazing achievement. Yep. So stoked to go back to it. Jumping into June. What'd you guys play in June despite Diablo 4?
I played 2 things from this month. Final Fantasy 16 and Diablo 4.
Diablo.
Yeah,
Preston and I bailed on Diablo after a few hours, which we discussed before we started rolling.
Yeah, I cannot believe I paid for so the reason I got the $100 edition was the early access. Dude, I'm this year especially, I'm just caught in the hype of everything. If there was like a way to play something early, I was doing it. So same thing with like Starfield. It's like I'm just buying all the early crap. And funny enough, all the games I did that with, I ended up completely just falling out of. So just an absolute waste of money. Man. So,
dude, I just realized I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. Man, what a shame. Yep. I don't know why that game didn't click for me. Maybe it's because we weren't playing together, but I did not enjoy playing by myself.
See, I enjoyed leveling. I thought that was very... Well, I take that back. I enjoyed playing through the story first time. That was fun. and I think they did a lot of good things with like the voice acting and like the worlds you go through. I think they're cool. Um, my problem with the game initially was how long it took to get to level 100. It took like I don't even like over 100 hours to get to level 100. Like it was ridiculous. Like I had to like once you get past I think it's 60 or 70 once you're in world tier 4, basically all you did was run nightmare dungeons. That's it. And it's just, you know, the enemies are usually all the same. There's like modifiers that make the dungeons harder and you're just like every once in a while you'll get an upgrade and you already have all your aspects on your gear by that point. So the end game was just kind of boring and that's why I really fell off after my first character. But I came back for one of the seasons. It was the one that just came out in the fall. It was like vampire themed, and that one was cool because they added like a they had new in-game bosses, so those were fun to kind of do once and you know see what they were like, and they were really cool. And then they like in that season they also made like the progression of getting upgrades and leveling quicker. So you spent less time leveling and it just felt better and it was more rewarding in that way. Um, yeah, it might be a game that I go back to some seasons, but you know, they would have to really change it up to make me care about it again. But I enjoyed the time that I did put into it. I think it was a pretty good game, but it definitely has some flaws for sure.
Yeah, I question if I'll ever go back to that game. If there's ever some big resurgence, and really the only people I'll ever play Diablo with are you two. So if the three of us were like, let's play Diablo, maybe I give it another chance, but I'm not going to go back in by myself.
I don't know if it would be that fun though.
Yeah. You and I played for a couple of hours together one night when it first launched.
Yeah.
And that was the most fun I had. And everything else I played, I was kind of lukewarm on.
I mean, I hit that game really hard when it came out. Like I was really into it too. I was like, oh man, this game's so good. I'm going to be playing this for a long time. Then I just fell off.
Yeah.
It's weird how it happened.
I mean, if it was like one of a few game releases this year, maybe I would have stuck it out, but there's just too much good stuff to stick it out for me.
Same.
So another game I did play very briefly was Amnesia: The Bunker. I started in October. I was in the mood for another horror game, and I played a couple of hours. I didn't get very deep into it, but it was cool. I just haven't played much of it.
Yeah.
So I've heard people really dug that game too. I just need to get back to that at some point.
Not
anytime soon. What'd you say?
Did anyone play Street Fighter?
No.
I did not. I heard that. I mean, people that love fighting games and in particular love Street Fighter were raving about that game, and I loved some of the insane character creations I saw. But I've not played that game. No.
We kind of already talked about Final Fantasy.
Final
16.
Fantasy, yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on for Final Fantasy?
I mean, it's probably my game of the year.
Oh wow!
Honestly, I love
that's
that
amazing
game.
to me, Jacob.
I love it, man.
That's fascinating.
I love every part of that game.
We should make a long 3-hour video essay on why that's your game of the year.
It's definitely in my top 5 of this year for sure.
Yeah, I just love the characters.
Yeah.
I love the story. I love the world. I love playing the game. I love all the how you can get all the different like icon types to do different abilities. Yeah, I just really found the game rewarding to play, and I enjoyed my time with it a lot. But I didn't play it, like New Game Plus. I just played through it once. So.
Nice. I am counting down the minutes for that game to finish.
You don't have to
play it.
You're gonna think differently when you're in the heat of everything.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Without fail,
really
dude,
good.
every Final Fantasy game I've ever completed, by the end, I'm like, I'm glad I did that. It's just like the journey getting there sometimes just doesn't do it for me. But
There's no way 7 Rebirth is gonna feel like that. I have a feeling
that
game is
dude.
gonna be paced way better.
Oh yeah, I mean the hour and a half I played was exceptional. I could not wait to play more of it, which I rarely say about a Final Fantasy game. So
we know.
I'm very excited for that.
We know.
Yeah. We're aware, pal. So it looks like July that I forgot. July was pretty slow. Do you guys play anything in July?
I'm looking. I don't think.
No, I don't think I played anything out of July. There were some things I was interested in. Like I played the demo for Pikmin 4, and I thought it was cool. There was just too much going on. And then Remnant 2, I almost got that a few times, but I ended up just holding off on it. So, yeah, I guess not.
Did you play anything in July, Jacob?
Nope.
From that list?
I haven't played anything in August either.
Okay.
Wow, you didn't play Baldur's
Chris and I
Gate
both
3?
have played.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
Chris
played
and
it.
I played
want to,
Baldur's
though.
Gate.
I don't even know what to say about Baldur's Gate 3. It is... So when I first... I got, caught up in the hype of it as well, which I don't see how you...
Same.
I don't see how you couldn't with the reviews.
I mean, I did too. I just didn't play it myself.
Yeah, so
I was watching people play.
I started it, and I got to a few points with the combat where I just did not understand what was going on, and it was very, very frustrating to me that I felt like I was kind of getting screwed because a lot of it is dice rolling basically, and I was just getting such bad luck and I was losing because of it, and it was just incredibly frustrating to me. So I watched a few videos on like what a bunch of these terms mean in terms of like what dice rolling does, what like the 1d4, like what that crap even means. So once I kind of wrapped my head around what was actually going on, and I found a play style that I genuinely enjoyed, which my main character is like a stealth archer type guy. So basically all the combat encounters would turn into me going into sneak mode and basically finding like a perch somewhere and just kind of picking off everybody. And that was like very, very effective. Like I was able to get past a ton of combat encounters doing that, and I don't know, everything kind of just started to make sense for me, and I became like obsessed with it for about a week. I think I have close to 100 hours into it on Steam, and like I said, I'm in the third act, and I'm really trying to do everything. The characters are great. What's funny is the guy that actually won the best performance at the Game Awards, he actually annoyed me so much when I first met him that I've never even had him in my party. So I don't even know if his...
Yeah, I haven't been a big fan of him either.
Yeah, so I like don't even know anything about his performance. So I really like Shadowheart. I thought she's cool. There's this wizard named Gale who I really like as well. There's this devil lady that of course everybody like talks about. I'm forgetting her name, but she's very cool. Yeah, but I mean, pretty much all your companions besides the vampire man, I really, really like, and maybe I'll like him too. My first interaction with him, I don't know. I'm already like a stealth archer, like rogue type guy, and that's what he is. So I just didn't want another one in my party. So that was also a big reason why I haven't really played with him. But I mean, everybody said it, just the way that you can just do basically really anything in the game is just incredibly impressive. It's a true RPG in the sense where you can talk your way out of situations. You can just there's just a million different ways to do everything in the game, and it's just incredibly impressive, and it's no surprise to me whatsoever that it won Game of the Year. I think it's very much deserving of that. I think it's kind of doing things that no other developer is really doing, and I think it kind of says a lot that a bunch of developers, when that game came out, were coming out saying like, well, we can't, I'm sure y'all remember all that, where they were saying like, well, it's kind of unreasonable to think everybody can do this and stuff. Like, just it kind of really put a bunch of developers on their heels in response to this game. So I think that says a lot about it. But yeah, I think it's a phenomenal game. Even if it didn't click with me, and I'm thankful it did, I still would have to like show massive respect for what this game does, and how it's a big time like accomplishment for Larian to do this game. And like I said, I'm in Act 3, so I'm definitely going to go back to it and finish it for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played nearly that much. I'm still very much in Act 1. I'm well beyond the beginning, but still very much at the beginning. And what little character interactions I've had as well, really enjoyed. I think it's beautiful. I think it plays very well. The dice rolling is still hit or miss for me. I'm still trying to figure out the combat. I hit a point where I was in a cave with a bunch of goblins, and for the life of me, I just could not beat them. And I think it's like a main story mission, and I was just stuck. So I stopped playing for a while. But
and dude, no shame for anybody to drop the difficulty to easy at some point, because if you're not used to what this combat is, which I've somehow been able to stick it out on standard, I think, but there have been a few combat situations. I think I'm actually at one right now that is just like, man, I don't even know how I'm going to beat this. But yeah, if this type of combat is brand new or intimidating or something, like I definitely switch to like the beginner mode or whatever.
Yeah, when I get back to it at some point, I have a list of games I want to play before I go back to it. But when I do go back, it's probably the first thing I'm going to do is drop it to easy. So, but everything I played, and even the music and atmosphere of that game is awesome too. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. It didn't sweep the Game Awards, but it won a lot of awards that what little I played felt like it deserved.
Didn't it win everything it was nominated for though? Or maybe maybe
so.
one. Maybe it didn't win one. Or I could
won 6 or 7 awards.
Yeah.
Or something.
Right.
So which didn't surprise me at all.
Actually, I think it was 5. I take that back.
Yeah, just based on the sentiment alone when the game launched, I'm like, well, that's obviously Game of the Year.
Yeah. That's
I was thinking of Spider-Man that was nominated for 7 and didn't win anything.
Yeah.
Which Preston and I agree does not surprise me in the least bit.
I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's fantastic. Great game. But dude, when you pair it, and people like, dude, that wasn't even going to win in terms of the Game of the Year awards. I don't even think it was. Spider-Man might be 4th place out of all those games.
I agree.
Like even if Baldur's
totally
Gate
agree.
wasn't there, Tears of the Kingdom or Alan Wake, like this was not the year for it to win the Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all that came out. Immortals of Avium came out in August, and I'm really waiting for that game to go on like a massive sell before I play that.
Yeah, that or Game Pass. I've heard rumors that it might go to Game Pass eventually, but I would have played it day one if it was on Game Pass. And it isn't that I don't want to pay full price. It's just like we said, if it was a slower year, I would have played it immediately. It just hasn't been a slow year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot came out in August. That came out, Blasphemous 2, which Blasphemous 1 is a fantastic game. So I definitely want to get to Blasphemous 2 at some point. And then one of my Armored Core 6 came out. I want to get to that at some point. But one of my favorite games of the year, I'd probably say it's my 3rd favorite game of the year, came out in August, and that is Sea of Stars.
Dude, I want to play that so
bad.
That
game is absolutely phenomenal. I was just hooked from the beginning. These type of games don't really get me that much, but from the story to the graphics, the music is phenomenal. The combat is so fun. It's turn-based, but there's button prompts with it where, you know, you can actually block attacks if you like hit the X button at the right time. There's enough like in the combat where you're actually involved with it and it being turn-based that it's just so fun. I loved the story. I loved the characters. It's just the happiest game I've played in the longest time. And
what did you play it on?
PS5. It's free.
That's where I want to play it.
If you have PS Plus, it's you just download it. You don't have to buy it.
Really?
Yeah. So
I do not have PS Plus.
I don't either.
It's on Game Pass as well. So it's
easy.
Yeah, basically every like subscription service is a part of it. Which I actually, when there's a physical copy that comes out, I'm gonna buy it just to buy it because of how much I enjoyed it. So, I cannot recommend that game enough. It is fantastic.
Yeah, everyone who's played it has said that exact same thing. Yeah. So it is also on my list.
Yeah. I think the art style is very charming too.
It is. Jacob, you would love this game. Like it is right up your alley for sure.
Yeah, I intend on playing it soon. Yeah. I'm convinced.
It's great.
Well, Jacob, something we missed in August was Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy.
Oh, no.
We got to get around to playing Trine 5 together.
Didn't we play like 2 or something?
2 or 3.
Dude, when
PS4.
When PS4, and we were just like playing anything
Needed
that
anything
existed.
To play, yeah.
We played through one of the Trines.
This is kind of a game. Let's play this.
Trine was like a solid game. That's all we had at the time. Yeah. September, boys. Starfield. Blessed Starfield.
Let me talk about something before we get to Starfield. It came out after Starfield, but actually, I should have laid this out. This was my 3rd favorite game of the year that came out in September. Lies of P.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were going
Lies
crazy
of
about
P
that game.
is insanely good. I could not believe how good it was. It is one of the only Souls-like I've played where if you would have told me From Software helped make this game, I would have 100% believed you. The aesthetics of this game are incredible. The story is amazing. It probably has the best ending to any game that I've played in the past few years. It sets up a sequel in the hypest way, like, imaginable. So
I'm amazed it hasn't been spoiled.
I know, it's great,
yet.
dude. If you have any interest in this game whatsoever, do not look up anything about it. Just go play it. But I love the story. The characters are just in the most From Software-y way likable. The story is kind of cryptic, but definitely not as cryptic as a normal From Software game. I love the combat. The bosses. Probably my only complaint is that basically from the middle point of the game onward, every boss has like 2 phases. So it doesn't become a surprise anymore. You'll get the first health bar down and then they'll do, transform or whatever. But dude, there are some brutal boss fights. I think the final 3 bosses in this game are absolutely insanely difficult. But I did end up platinuming this game. One of my proudest platinums, because like I said, it is brutally difficult, but holy crap, dude, the game is phenomenal. It is so good. Any From Software fan definitely needs to check out this game. It is great.
Yeah, that's what's been tricky for me, is because that too has been on my list, and I started it and beat the opening boss, that big guy at the beginning, and I liked everything I had played, but it also was in the midst of other things that obviously stuff that had come out in September and before I was still trying to wrap up, and then stuff coming after. So it stresses me out because I really want to play that as well, but it's also buried in the mix of games I want to get through post Final Fantasy 16, because I'm kind of like going back to what I technically, if I wanted to go in order, I should have gone back to Hogwarts first, but I'm saving Hogwarts to finish that when I start watching the movies again. So the game after that I hadn't finished was Final Fantasy and then Zelda. So it's like I'm trying to work through all the games I hadn't finished from this year before I carry on to what came after.
Yeah.
So, you praising it and so many others, it seems to be the one Souls game that I may also like, because I've always been a purist, and since I haven't played every Souls game, but I played many of them at this point, and I've never really loved one that's sort of like emulated that style of gameplay apart from like From Software themselves. So everyone saying that Lives of P comes the closest to that purist experience has encouraged me even more. So also on my list to get back to, but
they're doing DLC for it. Cannot wait. Like I said, I cannot wait for the sequel. What they've done to kind of set sequels up for this game is like the smartest idea ever. It is so freaking cool. So yeah, love this. I mean, this just in a normal year, this would probably be my favorite game. But that just shows how insane this year as a whole was. That this is like my 3 or 4th favorite game this year.
It's crazy.
So,
Jacob, does that interest you at all? Because you went back to Elden Ring for a while, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
Because I haven't beaten Elden Ring yet either.
I've platinumed Elden Ring twice. I've platinumed it on PS5 and PS4.
I still never beat it.
The boss I'm on is Godskin Duo. That's what I'm on. The big guy and the skinny guy.
That's where I stopped too. It's literally where I stopped.
Fight.
And I looked at the way to beat them. That's considered the cheese way, and it still was so much work. I was like, I don't have time for this.
There's a pretty cheesy way to put him to sleep.
Yeah, that's what I watched. I'm like, and then you have to go like somewhere else to get something. I was like, gosh, dude, it's like that game is remarkable to me. I think it's an absolute masterpiece, but it's just slightly too long for me.
It is pretty long. Yeah.
And I was like, goodness gracious, like let's get this over with. And I love the game, but it's just too much.
Even after the Godskin Duo, you have another fight, and then you go back somewhere, then you have another fight, 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 then you beat the game.
Yeah, it's like, goodness gracious, dude. It's like, I think that game at the time, and still when I look back on it, absolutely blows my mind. It's unbelievable what they achieved in that game. The open world astounded me, how interconnected it is and how it flows and just the scale of it. And not only just what all you can discover, but the satisfaction of discovering all the surprise bosses. Dude, that game is amazing to me. I just haven't finished it.
Can't wait for Shadow of the Erd Tree. And super pumped.
Yeah. I've got to beat it before that comes out. Yeah. I have to.
And I inevitably always beat every previous Souls game before the next one rolls out. Like I went back and beat Sekiro before Elden Ring dropped. And before I played Sekiro, I had gone back to beat Dark Souls 3, I think was the one before that, if I'm not mistaken. So I always finish them before I carry on to the next, but yeah, that's also on my list, a giant list.
Yeah, did Sekiro come out before Dark Souls 3 or after?
After.
After.
Okay.
Sekiro still is my favorite.
That's my favorite
out of all
from
the
Summer.
games.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah,
game.
that game kicks ass, dude.
Yeah.
Perfect game.
Agree.
Didn't it win Game of the Year?
It did.
Yeah.
It sure did. Love that game. Dude, that game, I have never had such a turnaround on a game in my life. For one day, I think I called my uncle and I was like, I can't play this. Like, this is I got to like one mini boss and I was like, this is the dumbest game of all time, and then the parrying just clicked for me and it became my favorite.
I remember the
when it
first time I
does,
fought
dude.
one of those big fat guys. Like, it was in that like burning village. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
remember. And it took me like 3 or 4 tries to beat him, and like when I finally did, like everything started to click after that.
Yeah, I love that you go fight. I think his name's Genishiro at the top of the tower. Where
That's where it's like, that's
the
the
game
turning
at
point.
that
If you can
point.
get through him, it's
Yeah.
game time.
The
after
game
that.
at that point is like, no. You will learn how to play this game, or else you're not getting past this guy.
That's what I love. Is like the remarkable nature of Elden Ring is the depth and scope of it is astounding. Not only just the world itself, but how in depth the character classes can be, and weapon types and armor, and like how creative you can get with that game. But then you go back to Sekiro, and I love that game is very specifically designed of like, you will play it this way, and they mastered that game design and that the pacing of it and the boss designs. I love that it was a very focused game compared to their other games, and that's why it really stands out to me.
Agree.
Anyway, you guys want to, speaking of games that are not nearly as exciting, you guys want to talk about Starfield for a minute?
I want to mention, has anyone played Phantom Liberty yet?
I do. Okay, so
I bought it, but I haven't played through that
I
DLC
bought
yet.
it. I've been waiting for the longest time to get back to Cyberpunk. I put a ton of time in OG Cyberpunk. I think I was like over 80 hours. And
me too.
I got to almost the very end and I kind of fell off it. And ever since I knew they were doing this massive update, I just kind of been putting it off. So I jumped back into it when Phantom Liberty came out. And I think I was telling Garrett, I played this Phantom Liberty expansion after Starfield. And I was just like, dude, I can't even play Starfield anymore. This game is so far
It's just better.
beyond what Starfield is. Like, it's hilarious. But I haven't actually gotten to the Phantom Liberty stuff yet, but I'm several hours into just a brand new playthrough with all the updates and stuff, and it is so freaking good.
So I played it recently after the update too, and I loved my time with the original game. I haven't played the expansion yet. I just beat the original, did pretty much all the side quests. Did a little bit of what are they called? Like God, what are they called? Like the little blue things around the map where it's like the sections of the city.
Oh,
I built those up a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love driving around the city in certain cars.
Yeah.
Like I like how they fixed the police thing too. The police in the game was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've added a lot of
first.
new updates even as of like the last couple of weeks. That look
Yeah, like
cool.
I think depending on what you've done with certain gangs, they'll come after you and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything they've added to it, jumping in to it, it's been several, I think probably over a year since I had played it. It's a new game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one of my biggest complaints was how you had to wear the dumbest clothes of all time to like have good stats, but now clothes are just purely cosmetic now.
Mhm.
That's an incredible update even right there. But that's just from the brand new ability tree to I mean there's so much to even say. It's kind of overwhelming how much they've changed from it, and it's amazing.
It has me even more encouraged for not Cyberpunk, with the next Witcher game. Because you got to hope the executives at CD Projekt Red don't goof a second time and release a game before it's ready. Because the thing, the complication with that is that yes, they had to take the brunt of like a PR disaster, but at the end of the day, that game still made an unbelievable amount of money and sold a crap ton of copies. So I hope that financial success doesn't outweigh the PR disaster they faced. So I'm hoping they learn that lesson and let CD Projekt Red cook as long as they need to for the next Witcher game. And imagine the next Witcher game launching at like the same state that current Cyberpunk is in, where it does feel fully realized, very minimal bugs, and just feels like the full package on day one versus like having to wait years for things to roll out. I hope that's the case, but Yeah, Cyberpunk's another one, dude. My backlog right now, like my current modern backlog is pretty extensive, unfortunately, but
Yep.
which is a good problem to have. It's just like we're living in like a pretty golden era, at least this year, even rolling into next year. Towards the beginning of the year, there's a couple cool releases I'm excited about, so there's a lot to play. So it's a good problem to have.
For
But
sure.
yeah, Starfield, I don't even want to dwell on it too much. I think the best way you could hear our thoughts is Nakey Jakey's newest video about Starfield and Bethesda in general is
Nakey
basically how I was
Jakey?
feeling internally. I just didn't verbalize it exactly that way, but he like nails exactly how I felt about that game.
Yeah.
I maybe made it like 7 or 8 hours in, dude, and I was just excruciatingly bored, like bored out of my mind playing that game. And it didn't run terribly. It didn't run as optimally as I would have liked on my PC, but it ran fine. I was like maintaining like 60, 65 frames, which is fine enough, I guess. But I just did not like playing it. I just didn't think it was fun. It's been said ad nauseum, but like all the loading screens and the fast traveling and like some of the missions weren't very exciting. The side content wasn't great. All the barren planets. There's like so much about it that just seems so lackluster.
It's
just a shame.
It's like the most on rails like open world thing I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole thing that I understand that Bethesda's game design, how they, you know, their template for games is becoming like, it's just very obvious how outdated it is right now, but I still love it. Like I love Skyrim. Yeah. I love Fallout 4. I love Fallout 3, of course. You know, even, you know, New Vegas, you know, not Bethesda, but, you know, I love that style of games, but that just unleashing you into an open world is completely missing from this game.
Yeah.
Like
it's a bummer too, dude, because I mean, there's only so much we can say because it's in development for so long, and it's an idea that Todd supposedly had for over 20 years, and it seems like it just did not hit the mark in many ways. Like when he pitched it as, oh, you know, Skyrim in space, it's like in some spots maybe, but overall it's not. And I mean, Skyrim with a space skin could be cool potentially, but all I can hope at this point is that they take everything the industry has done as far as immersive RPGs have come, considering most recently as far as Cyberpunk's come, Baldur's Gate 3, and there's a handful of others you could probably mention. I just hope they take all of those lessons they could potentially learn from those other studios and implement them in a Bethesda way into the next Elder Scrolls at this point, because Starfield missed for me on so many levels. And I straight up, that's the thing, that game is so designed in such a way that there's no way you can really undo that or make it better. I feel like it just is what it is.
That's the thing. People are like, oh, I wonder if this can get like a Cyberpunk treatment. I'm like, dude, like this is what they wanted. It's like this is what it is.
And they continue to stand by it too. I haven't heard a single Bethesda employee, and obviously Todd will never say this, is that like, oh, you know, like we missed the mark. And I don't really know what they could say about it, because I mean, I'm sure it's sold fine because people were excited about it. I even bought it early, which I'm ashamed that I did now. But I personally know for a fact I will never go back to that game ever.
I'm going to go back at some point and beat it. I feel like I have. It won't be anytime soon, but I feel like I need to at least beat the main narrative. But even that, it's like the main narrative is just full of you going to these temple things and just
see, I did so many of those at the beginning. I did like 7, and I was like, why are we doing the same thing over and over and over again? That alone made me not want to go back. But I will say one of the best parts was the ship creator was cool. I did enjoy that.
I agree.
So maybe they can do that with something in Elder Scrolls, apart from like building houses and stuff. What's something creative they could do with that building mechanic? I don't know. But we'll see.
Like
man, that was a major disappointment. That's my biggest disappointment of the year is Starfield.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. Jacob, did you even play it at all? No.
Heck no. I thought I was going to play it going into it, and then I just started hearing people not be blown away by it, and I was like, that's good enough for me. I don't need to play it. I mean, I've always been pretty harsh on Bethesda. So it's not a surprise that I didn't play it.
Dude, I'm worried that my nostalgia for Fallout 3 can no longer keep me invested.
Yeah, I'm there too, dude. It's like those memories I'll cherish forever.
Yeah, and Skyrim was amazing. I love Skyrim, dude. The first, my first couple of weeks playing Skyrim, I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
either.
I'll never forget that either.
But so hopefully we can get that back with the Elder Scrolls 6 within the next 15 years when it's put out.
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, after Starfield, dude, I hope they take 15 years to develop it. The problem is like they get stuck in a vacuum with their engine and like their game design to where they haven't ever really progressed beyond.
Dude, they have to drop that. I know they're not going to, but I just...
Yeah, they've got to.
Yeah, it's insane, dude.
Like, no one likes playing buggy, broken games. Or games that don't.
That's the thing. Is like I don't even think that game was that buggy. It's just like
it just wasn't very fun.
It's just fast travel everywhere, loading screen every door. It's just I don't know. That's the least of the games. I mean, the fast travel definitely makes you feel like you're not exploring, but just from too many planets, nothing on them. The story I could care less about. It didn't run particularly that well, especially in like big cities. It just doesn't look that impressive. I mean, there's a million things that are just not ideal about the game. Is it a bad game? No, it's not bad. There's just this was the worst year for it to come out. It's just everything around it just makes it look worse than it actually is. So
needed a January release or something like that.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. We're in the gaming renaissance right now, dude. It's like even the beginning of next year, it's just banger after banger coming out, dude. So there's no room for average games at this point.
Yeah.
So
the industry is at an all-time high of excellence. So
yeah, definitely.
One more I did play for a day or two in September was Counter-Strike 2. And I actually had a lot of fun with it. I didn't do half bad either. I didn't get my ass kicked at all. I held my own. I didn't like thrive in every match, but it just went to show that playing enough shooters on PC over the last several years, I wasn't totally inept at Counter-Strike despite how twitchy it is. And I would love to play that with one or both of you at some point because it's a fun little. I know it's like a very famous game and very popular game, but.
I'd be down
jumping back into Counter-Strike for the first time in probably a decade. I had fun with it.
Yeah.
From what I experienced, like I haven't played it. I don't mean like I experienced the game, but from what I've heard, a lot of people are kind of disappointed because it hasn't really changed that much from the first Counter-Strike.
Yeah. And that's fine with me because Preston and I played the original Counter-Strike on Xbox 360, I think.
Well, Counter-Strike global something.
Yeah.
Yeah. CSGO.
Yeah, CSGO. Yep.
That's what we played on 360. So I had never played it on PC until 2 rolled around. So for me, like, it's all fresh to me because I barely played it on even 360 back in the day. So
yeah, I've played Valorant, but I've never played Counter-Strike.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the gunplay is very similar in those games. They're the same kind of style of shooter. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever play Counter-Strike 2. It would be quite a learning curve, I think, to get into it.
October. I played the demo for Trepang 2. It was cool, but I don't ever think I'll play the full game. The demo was enough for me.
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Really, really liked it. I platinumed it. So I played quite a bit. I was probably like 40-ish hours. I thought it was a step in a good direction for the series. Valhalla, I've famously told you guys that I've never hated a game at the end of it more in my life. Fine game, but the most unnecessarily long game to ever exist. This Mirage was straight to the point. It's got a cool city for you to explore. It's very much stealth focused. You cannot just go into combat and take on like a million guys at the same time. So you have to use your tools and stealth to do things. So because of that, I really enjoyed it. The story was okay, but like I said, definitely a step in the right direction for me. I'm really glad it sold very well, and the reception to it was pretty positive. So I really hope they take that, just the positive feedback from this game into account, and kind of the next Assassin's Creed games, they kind of take a more old school approach to it. So it made me look forward to Assassin's Creed again. So
It's cool.
Yeah, cool game. Definitely a game to put on the very back end of your backlog if you have any interest at all. But,
that's where it is for me.
Yeah.
I played the preview event. And I thought the preview was fine, but it didn't hype me up enough to want to play the full game just yet.
It's not incredible, but it's a good time. It's not long. It's not expensive. I think was like a $40 or $50 game in the first place. But if you long for classic AC, then I definitely would pick this up.
The children are yearning for classic AC.
Yeah. So definitely the closest thing we've had for sure.
There's a lot in this list. Obviously, Spider-Man. I feel like we've touched on Spider-Man probably enough.
Yeah.
Is anything like really standing out from Spider-Man 2 you wanted to touch on we didn't speak about, Preston?
I don't know, man. Spider-Man's the most impressive game that I really don't have anything to say about. It plays phenomenally. I have some nitpicks with it. My main nitpick with it is I really hate that they took away a lot of gadgets that are used for stealth. I feel like stealth was the exact same thing, the entire game from like the beginning onward. You get the ability to make a line at will. And that's basically it. There's no planning traps. There's no...
Dude, even Brian Intihar said himself on a podcast that he realized that, like, yeah, maybe we did overlook that a little bit. And I was like, that blew my mind to hear him say that. I'm like, how do you develop a game that long and overlook something like that?
Yeah. So I'm glad they took away the weapon will. But...
Yeah, the fluidity of combat was better than ever because I like how everything's mapped to your triggers in your D-pad and everything, so it's in your button prompts. So that, like, the flow of it, I thought
love
was
the parry.
An upgrade.
Really liked the parry. I thought that was great. I played on the hardest difficulty, so a bunch of the boss fights were straight up like very difficult. Like you had to parry, you had to dodge. So I really enjoyed the boss fights because of that. They were like an actual challenge. But Sweeney, like you said earlier, best ever. I love this wingsuit. I enjoyed the story. I'm excited to see what they do next. But in terms of the side content, I don't know. It was fine. I just kind of basically all the side content was just you fighting things. And
I think that's what, because I couldn't remember everything we talked about. I felt like just every single thing you do in the game is just fight. And the combat is good. It's just like, I don't want to do that the whole time. Yeah. And I wish there was more creativity. Like, I wish there were more traversal challenges. I know they have like the wingsuit challenges, but those are super easy and not that interesting. I wish there was like really crazy web swinging and mixing.
Yeah, there was
web wing stuff.
There was no like taskmaster in this game, or the screwball where they had like different types of challenges where you're like going to defuse bombs or things like that. Like I think that probably would have switched it up a little bit. Even the Mysterio challenges, they were just go in here and fight things.
Yeah,
like, I thought those were gonna be like, switch it up quite a bit, but not really.
Yeah,
there is that one side quest. You ride a bike, though. That was pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I am begging Insomniac just to like drop the pride and kill the freaking stupid puzzle mini games. Please, just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? You have nothing to prove to anyone. Like all the stupid science things, like fly the bee around and like ride your bicycle and all those stupid little gimmicks. I'm like, why do they insist on putting this crap into the game?
Why the bike? Did somebody just like I made these cool biking mechanics. And like, we got to put this in.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's like little things like that. I'm like, just let it go. And even Mary Jane, dude, Mary Jane missions, yes, they are better, but it's still like, I don't need this. I just don't need it.
Yeah. I didn't mind her missions at all this time. I was able to.
The memes that came out of her missions were incredible, though.
Yeah. I was able to like speed through them. They weren't that big of a deal. So I actually really did. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but one of the last times you control her and it was almost like a horror like type game. I thought that was actually pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed my time. It did not overstay its welcome at all. It was just for a few days. It was just like, this is really good. And on to the next thing.
I do wish New Game Plus was available day one because I would have immediately jumped back in.
100% I would have too.
So I still will when it rolls around. I'm just like kind of shocked it's still not out.
Yeah.
And now even Alan Wake 2's New Game Plus is about to be out.
Yeah.
Hope that's soon. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is on my list after Metroid Prime Remastered.
I've played quite a bit of that. Very, very good.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, it's very fun. I don't have too much to say about it. It's just a really good side scroller. One of the best I've played. I don't play a lot of side scrollers, so it's definitely the best one I've played recently, but the whole Wonder Seed gimmick of it is very, very cool. It truly makes every level kind of stand out. It has its own like really cool. Every level has a really cool gimmick to it in itself that makes every time you jump in a new level, it makes you excited to see what they're going to do. So, yeah, very, very cool game.
That's honestly a lot how I focus. I started playing Super Mario Galaxy last year while I was on a trip for a long time. And even the worlds and levels in that game, although it's a 3D game, obviously, kind of gave me that feeling as well. It's like every level was a surprise.
I wonder if we were playing that around the same time, because within the last year, I hopped back into Galaxy and played the crap out of it. Like, I think I'm at like the last world. I was like collecting every star. Like, I was full on like playing it like a completionist. I was really, really enjoying it.
I think second on my 2 playlist after Final Fantasy, it's like I'm bouncing between 2 options. I'm either going to do Metal Gear Solid 2 or I'm going to do RoboCop because I want to play both.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely am a RoboCop fan. Second movie's good too, but the first one I think is like genuinely an awesome movie that I've always been a fan of. And the game, like the combat looks so brutal and intense. Like that alone makes me want to play it.
Yeah,
so.
I have that on my backlog as well.
Jacob, anything else in October you want to touch on? I know there's Alan Wake 2 that Preston, I wanted to hear from you because I already spoke about it myself.
I honestly don't have too much to say. I haven't played that much of it. Like I said, I'm trying to play through it with my wife, and my wife she's a nurse and she works nights, so our schedules get really weird where like I'm finishing work and she's going to work, and then she gets home at like 7 or 8 the next morning when I'm going to work. So we're literally on 2 completely different schedules. So, days that we have off, she's either sleeping in, and it kind of takes a day or 2 for our schedules to align again. So it's just really hard to play this game because of that. So I don't know. We might get to a point where she's just like, just go ahead and play it. But I'm not really far in it at all. I think I just started playing as Alan Wake, so probably just a handful of hours into it. But so far, I really, really enjoy it.
Sweet. Yeah, it is a solid game, and I just like how weird Remedy's games are. There's some weird stuff in that game in a good way. So I'm genuinely excited to play New Game Plus. I'm hoping I don't need to play the whole thing again, even though there might be some surprises in New Game Plus because I only have a handful more trophies. It's like collectible things. So I'm hoping it's the kind of New Game Plus where when you start over, whatever was left is all you need to collect versus like putting it all back in the game would be nice, but we'll see. November, nearing the end here. Rogue City's on my list.
Rogues.
Nothing for me in November.
Yeah, besides Modern Warfare 3, just my whole Call of Duty debacle that I talked about earlier. That was basically all I did in November. Of course, I was playing other things like Kingdom Hearts and did Like a Dragon Gaiden come out this? Whenever? Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, so I was playing that as well. Yeah, I didn't play too many new things besides that this month and just going back to older things.
Yeah, just Call of Duty for me. Like the casual gamer I am.
Right.
Have you played Avatar yet?
No, but
we're in December.
I really want to. Everything I've heard from that game sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah, I've heard enough reviews to the point where I think I'd also really like it. And I'm actually judging because the game looks so pretty that I feel like it would look better on PS5 for me because my PC is strong enough to play it, but I don't know if I could play it as beautifully as I'd like on PC. Although I'd prefer to play it there mechanically.
I don't know, dude. You have, games now. I'm pretty sure this game has DLSS, which you have this card that can take advantage of that. I think it probably would run fine and look really good for you.
Yeah, that's another one that
you act like you have like a 1060 or something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You've got a really good card.
Yeah,
you can look
I've
at
yet to play a modern
well.
game that struggles on my PC. It's just like I can't always max out the graphics. Like Cyberpunk, like looks pretty good on my PC. I just can't max it out, obviously.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. And the only reason I haven't invested in a killer PC is because every time I'm like, I think I'm ready to upgrade my PC significantly, like build a whole new modern one, I have to drop a large amount of money on like a work thing. Like last year or 2 years ago was a camera. And then this year's a new laptop that I desperately needed for work. So it's like maybe one day I'll have a modern PC, but not anytime soon, unfortunately. All right, gentlemen, I have a community question to ask about the Game Awards before we speak about the Game Awards, which I have very little to say about. I just wanted to touch on it since it just happened. Here we go. Comes from Ryan 11 Hawk. He says, "Hey guys, in the wake of one of the most underwhelming Game Awards in recent memory, I was curious what your thoughts were on some of the major announcements, as well as some of the noticeable absence, GTA 6, Death Stranding 2. Despite 2023 being one of the most significant years in video game history, it felt like this year's TGA fell somewhat flat. Am I alone on this? What do you think needs to change to make the Game Awards interesting without it losing its identity and simply turning into another E3? Thank you, Ryan, for writing in.
Yeah, it's always kind of been about the trailers, right? It's always kind of been like that since Jeff Keighley reimagined it. And obviously it has its goofy stuff too, so I don't think that Muppet stuff is going anywhere, that kind of thing. But I don't know. Like, I personally would like to see more developers being congratulated on stage instead of. I mean, and I really like the performances from like the Game of the Year nominees. I think all like the orchestral performances are really cool too.
Yeah.
Most of them anyway. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of nonsense going on, and you know, I know that was a big complaint this year for the show. So
yeah,
I mean. I don't really know.
I think my only complaint for this year was just the whole 30 seconds for developers to speak. Like, I understand Christopher Judge spoke for 45 minutes last year, but I think they swung way too far in the other direction. Like, that was basically an anomaly in the first place. Nobody's ever spoken that long. So I think they maybe should have put a limit of, like, I don't know, 2 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say minimum 2 minutes.
Yeah. It just feels weird. You have freaking Eiji Aonuma from Zelda up there. Like, he flew all the way out there, like one of the most, like, you know, well-known, like, accomplished guys in gaming history up there talking about freaking Tears of the Kingdom accepting it, and they're like, all right, man, wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Yeah. It's like unbelievable to me.
So
that's the thing. It's like that was so dangerous of them to do that, and there's been so much uproar about that Jeff Keighley could easily tank that show by accident if he's not careful. Because I could very well see respected game developers just being like, "No, we're not going to show up next year."
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, we appreciate being nominated, but we're not going to show up, like just because of that stunt.
I know he had a response on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it.
Did he?
Yeah, he said that it was too little, and that he did tell the guy in charge of the prompter to cool it a little bit later on into the show. And then he also said nobody was driven off the stage, which technically they weren't. But I mean, dude, you're like blaring music, like it's very, and you're telling them please wrap it up. So I definitely think they need to be more lenient with that. Honestly,
did he not say sorry?
No, he did. He did.
Okay.
At least I'm pretty sure he did. I might have to look at it. I remember him. I don't know. I remember reading it thinking it was apologetic and him acknowledging that it was too short. So, I'm sure that'll be fixed. But I don't know, dude, with E3 not being here anymore, I actually enjoy it kind of being like an E3. I thought there were some pretty cool announcements, but also...
Dude, Blade?
Yeah, Blade will be cool.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that'll be very cool. Honestly, I'm forgetting some of the other announcements right now, but they were quite...
God of War DLC?
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Definitely with the Cyclops coming out and reading some things, it seems like there's going to be some Greek enemies. I think there could be something really cool with the story in that game mode. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to check it out. But yeah, there were
also that game from like ex Mass Effect devs or whatever. That sci-fi game looked pretty cool
with Matthew McConaughey.
I think so.
Yeah, there were a lot of cool games that that showed up. So I don't really have any problems with them debuting things, but then I've heard some people say like, dude, if you want it to be completely developer focused, there's already the DICE awards. There are other awards that are definitely just more about the developers. So I don't know. I honestly enjoyed it. I was never bored. I ordered a pizza and just sat there and just chowed down while I watched this thing. So I was completely satisfied with sitting there watching it. So besides just the developers kind of being run off the stage, I honestly didn't have, that many issues. I know people are saying like, well, Kojima got to speak for 35 minutes and everybody else got run off the stage. But I mean, that's to be expected now. Like we all know that Jeff loves Kojima, which by the way,
I hope whatever OG is I hope it scares the crap out of me.
OD,
I like,
sir.
Did I say OG?
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's OG right now. It's the fact that he's teaming up Jordan Peele as well could be really interesting.
Dude, it's got to have something to do with PT. They came out of the door. It's two letters. Like I'm waiting for somebody to like really dig into these trailers and see what we're missing. Somebody already found the letter A in the guy's mouth. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, somebody zoomed in on the what was the old man, the Odin guy? Was that his name, or Odu or something like that?
Can't remember.
I don't know who it was, but somebody zoomed in on his mouth and there's like literally a letter A. So there's got to be something in this trailer that's like hidden or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very excited for whatever it is, because PT is by far the scariest thing I've ever played, like by a wide margin. That game scared the absolute crap out of me. So
see, that's why I don't want to play. That's gonna be the case.
I want to play something that's actually going to scare me for once, because nothing. It really scares me. So
I will say this too. I was not kind of like with which a game I forgot. I don't know if it came out this year or the year before. I already forgot. What's that Dead Space inspired game we played, the horror game that you and I were kind of liked?
What was that called?
Dead Space inspired game.
The horror game that everyone hated except for you and I kind of liked it.
Callisto Protocol.
Callisto Protocol. Did that come out this year or the year before?
That was
this year, wasn't it?
Dude, was that no, that came out the same year as God of War. That was last year.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Which I still don't hate that game. I platinumed that game.
I
played it.
I like Callisto Protocol. I
played it twice.
I hot take. I like Callisto Protocol more than Dead Space.
That's not that insane to me. I actually thought there were some interesting ideas in that game.
Is it a better game? Heck no. But I personally liked it more.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I liked it enough to platinum it. That being said, I wasn't going to say. It reminds me, why did I bring that up? It was so relevant to what we were just saying. I can't remember. Oh, about games scaring you. I wanted to scare me too, because that game didn't scare me once. Dead Space didn't scare me once. No Resident Evil's ever really scared me. Well, maybe a couple of moments in like 7 in VR frightened me greatly, as we know.
Scary.
Yeah. But that was different because it was in VR.
That one part at 8 was pretty creepy. Dude.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, the baby.
The baby slug.
Dude, 8 DLC has a part in the same area with a mannequin that is pretty freaking creepy. I
feel like I may have played that.
Yes, it's the DLC. It's the DLC. It's the gold edition or whatever. You actually play as Rose in this.
Yeah.
And
oh no, I haven't.
There's
played
a mannequin enemy that moves when you're not looking at it, and that's pretty freaking creepy. So, yeah, that's
dude. That you saying that it's most recently with Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 didn't scare me once. There was some atmospheric, creepy stuff, but I wasn't once scared. But I've seen a lot of people on Twitter be like, "This game's so scary." I'm like, "That it's not." I don't know why. Maybe it's because I find it predictable. But all the jump scares in the game, I could just feel coming. Maybe -1, but maybe it's just like a game design thing. If you play enough spooky games or watch enough horror movies, it's almost like the beats write themselves.
Yeah.
So that game didn't surprise me on like a spook level. So I want another genuine game that like I'm terrified to like carry on.
Yeah.
Kind of scary.
Dude, that was PT knowing that game was just random. Even though I had already played through it, just playing it again, knowing that I still didn't know what was going to happen, just horrified me. So, yeah, I've not played a game where I was genuinely scared to, like, walk forward, since that game. So.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about that and Death Stranding, too. I still need to finish Death Stranding 1. I'm close to the end of that, too, but I haven't finished it. One question from the Game Awards I wanted to get to before we move on is from Felipe of Switzerland. And my friend, thank you for tuning in still to this day, in some capacity all these years. He says, are you happier that Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year or that Starfield didn't get anything? I can't decide. Hope Bethesda wakes up now.
I mean, it got nominated for Best RPG.
Yeah, but it didn't win anything.
No. Oh, I thought he said not nominated.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I want to say, I hate that Lies of P was only nominated in Best RPG. Because, like, that's That's a dumb place to put it.
Because it's more of like an action game, right? You call it like action
It has
adventure,
RPG
probably?
elements to it. Like there are builds you can do. So I mean, I would consider it an RPG, but like it should have been in, I don't know, best direction, best soundtrack. Like I think Lies of P deserved to be in more places. But anyways.
Yeah, I think it did not remotely surprise me that Baldur's Gate 1. I think I knew the week it released, I'm like, well, that's obviously Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Just based on the reviews alone. And even what little I played, I was like, well, this is clearly a Game of the Year. Probably the strongest considered I'd play up until that point. But everything that was nominated, definitely, I think, for the most part, absolutely deserved to be on that list. But it did not surprise me that Baldur's Gate won. So, gentlemen, let's talk about the GTA 6 trailer for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It's out in the world. It's out in the wild.
I forgot about that.
It leaked.
Well, I love the trailer. It looks awesome. To me.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm just bummed it isn't until 2025.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Dude,
But it looks cool. I'm ready to go back to Vice City.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ever since Red Dead.
Bigger map.
Ever since Red Dead 2. I mean, just knowing what they did with Red Dead 2 on hardware as old as what the PS4 was. Like, what in the world are they going to be able to accomplish with this game?
Yeah, I love all the budget rumors, too, for the game that they've invested like $1 billion into and stuff. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it wouldn't surprise me just given how much money they've raked in from GTA 5.
Yeah.
So
did you guys see the Florida Joker get mad?
Yeah. Yeah.
That he thinks they use.
And they were probably honestly hoping he would react that way.
Maybe.
Yeah. This just reminds me when Lindsay Lohan tried to sue her for GTA 5 for a girl that literally looks nothing like her.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah,
I mean, you could argue though that is him.
Oh, it 100% is a parody of him. But I mean, there's parody laws. You can do parody of things.
I think that's fair use.
Their tattoos aren't even similar either. They have different colored hair. Yeah. So he should take it. I think the guy who played Arthur Morgan. Did y'all see his response to it?
I haven't watched it. Heard about it though.
He was like, you just need to take advantage of this. Yeah, but he's like, if you think you're even going to talk to Rockstar, you're out of your mind. He's like, they're lawyered up like crazy. So, but yeah, he just, like you said, he needs to just take advantage of people maybe knowing who he is for the first time. But
I mean, he's trying to do something. Got to give him some credit.
But anyways, dude, looks incredible. I'm really enjoying listening to the people speculate on what the story is.
I'm very excited about the story personally.
Yeah. So I some of the things they've showed us, like I wonder the order that it plays out, because the key art they have, Lucia has a is that her name, Lucia or Lucia?
Lucia, yeah.
Okay. I think I'm thinking of the guy in Overwatch.
Lucia, maybe.
Who's the guy in Overwatch? The rollerblade guy. What's his name?
Lucio.
Okay. Yeah. She has a thing around her ankle. What are those?
Yeah, like a house arrest.
House arrest. Yeah. So I'm wondering like when some of the things in the trailer happened, like before she got arrested or after. But I thought it was. I'm pretty sure in the leaked gameplay we saw people playing as Jason. So I'm wondering if that's still a thing where you can switch between both protagonists, but also it looks like the guy in the trailer and in the key art, he looks different than the guy that people were playing as in the leaks. So I don't know if they changed his model or if he's a completely different person.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
yeah.
So I'm interested in the narrative because of all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am genuinely like that was normally like any game announcement like a window of a date doesn't bother me too much, but that one, since we've been waiting so long, really bummed me out that it's 2025, which I get. I totally get it. Like I want it to be as good as it can be, but I was like, dang, dude, I was hoping for at least like tail end of 2024. But
I saw McDonald's announce that their snack wrap is coming back in 2025. So people are like, dude, I can't wait to eat my snack wrap and play GTA
6. Yeah. I'm also glad that we can digitally download these games and not go wait at a midnight release. As fun as the GTA 5 release was, I like that it can just be installed and ready to go and function like the second it releases.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
For sure.
So... And I will be playing on PS5 because it seemingly will not be releasing on PC day one.
Nope,
yeah,
dude. We're gonna.
I know that I personally would want to play on PS5.
We're gonna be playing on our PS5 Pros, dude.
Oh, undoubtedly, I think so. Yeah. So
can't wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so stoked to see more of that. So specifically gameplay. I love Rockstar's gameplay trailers, dude. They are so satisfying to me.
Yeah.
And GTA 6. Last of Us 2 Remastered is the last
cheek-
thing I wanted to touch on.
Our butt cheek physics are unlike anything you've ever seen.
Yeah. Dude, Red Dead 2 still amazes me. The only reason I haven't carried on in PC, there's this weird thing with the Rockstar launcher where every time I install Red Dead 2, it makes me start over, and every time I uninstall it, it just does not keep my save file. So I've reinstalled it 4 times, and I've had to start from the beginning every single time.
Holy crap.
So, and I would gladly jump into that here and there just to kill some time every few days on PC because it runs and looks amazing on PC for me, which is shocking. But every time I jump back in to reinstall it, because it's such a huge file size, I have to start the game over. I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Red Dead 2, not to go on a huge tangent, is that when I initially played it, I had reviewed it for COG, and I killed myself to get through that game for the review period. And I'm still very proud of that review and all the content I did for COG at the time. But I ran through it as quickly as possible because at the time I went to school all day and worked at night at the venue I was running sound at. So I had to play, my hours I'd play would be from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. for like 6 days straight. Or just like, and get through as much as I could. And I remember I beat the game and did as much side content as I could with 12 hours to spare before the embargo was lifted. So I wrote the whole review and blasted out the video version within like a 12-hour period. And I remember when I did that, I became so physically ill from just not sleeping for like a full week that I was like horrifically sick for 2 weeks. I'll never forget that. But it was awesome. I was like honored that I could review that game for them. Because of that, I remember most of the stuff, but there's so much I couldn't savor because I had to rush through it so quickly. So that's why when I jump back on PC, I'm like, man, I can really take my time with this. But I've had to reinstall it a bunch of times and I have to start over, which sucks. So anyway, Last of Us 2 Remastered, I'm genuinely excited for. I know, Preston, I think you probably feel the same, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love that game so much. I am probably one of the few people on the planet that do consider it an absolute masterpiece, especially after Part 1 Remake came out. Playing all the way through Part 1, platinum that, replayed Part 2 on PS4. Or I played it on PS5, but replaying it, platinum that as well. That is a package is phenomenal to me. Playing them back to back is perfect. And that's why I'm excited for the remastered, because even on the PS4 version on PS5 still looks good. But what's amazing is that Part 1 Remake now looks better than Part 2 does now. So when the remastered version comes out, they'll look, I'm assuming, identical. And also that new roguelite mode to maximize the combat seems really fun to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I've got my Wolf edition pre-ordered. So
nice.
Super pumped. That box looks so cool. Can you see it on my camera? That giant white box right there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Part 1 Firefly edition. So I'm so pumped to have another Part 2 massive box right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I do. I savored and loved Part 2 even more than the first playthrough, playing it again. Yeah. I absolutely love that game.
Yeah,
so
same. I'm excited. I think that's a game I want to play with my wife as well, because we watched the show together and she was really, really into it. So I would love to play through the second game again before the second season comes out.
Mm-hmm. Just to touch on that very briefly, do you guys have any particular hopes for season 2? Because I like season 1. It's just it's easy to say.
Did you see who apparently was cast as Abby?
Yeah,
the chick.
She's actually a really good actress.
Yeah, I actually recently just the other week watched that movie she was just in.
No One Will Save You.
Yes, which I thought that movie was phenomenal, dude. I thought it was
cool.
So good, very creepy too. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty creepy.
I like in a cool interview that director said he was inspired by Signs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, clear. Oh, yeah, clearly.
At the beginning, it's very Signs, but I like that it becomes its own thing by the end.
Yeah, I thought the ending was really good for it too. Mm-hmm. But I think that's funny if she is who's playing Abby. Is I thought that's who I wanted to play as Ellie. In the first place.
I've seen other people say that.
She looks straight up like Ellie does in the game. So, but I really, really hope she's who's playing Abby. Has that been confirmed, or is that it's pretty?
I think it's just like a huge rumor that seems to be pretty valid. It's just not confirmed yet.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. I really hope they just play with the way that some events unfold. Yeah.
I think they absolutely will, for sure. So, and even, dude, Abby from the game, I love her character in the game. Like, I think she's so sick as a character.
Agreed.
Total badass, too. And one thing I wanted to say, now that it's been out in the wild for a long time, so I think it's okay to talk about this, is that and there's so much to break down about all the characters in the game, especially Abby, but just like layman's terms, like SparkNotes version, the fact that this girl was so horrifically wronged as a child and like turned herself into a weapon and actually accomplished her mission of like, I'm going to kill that guy who killed my dad. And she wins. But then like the cost of that to me is just fascinating me from like a character standpoint. When you replay part 2, like I think she is such a badass, but like the cost of her turning herself into a weapon just to get revenge and what it cost her, it's just like what a journey you go on with that character is so cool to me. So anyway, and that's not to say like I obviously love Joel.
That's the lamest part though, because revenge is bad. It's so played out, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the thing is like there's so much more nuance and so many more layers to that game than just that. There's so much more to it, but yeah, there's so much I could say about that game and those characters. But yeah, stoked for part 2 remastered. I think we all knew to some degree it was going to arrive at some point,
for sure.
But I'm glad it's coming, and it's coming soon too.
Yeah, I'm just glad they added a different mode. It's only I think if you just get the standard edition, it's $50. I think. Like
that, and you can upgrade for $10.
$10, yeah. So there's anybody that has an issue with this is just a baby. Straight up just an absolute baby. So
Jacob, do you have any intention of playing part 2 remake or remaster?
No. I mean, I like the game. I just don't want to play it again.
I feel you. Did you play the part 1 remake?
No.
Oh, dude,
I didn't see any reason
that
to.
Was exceptional to me, dude.
Jacob hates good games. Don't you know this?
True.
Jacob, Persona 3 remake. How you feeling?
I might play that one. I saw the trailer for that.
Dude, I'm pumped. I'm so pumped for that. I've tried to play Persona.
What's it going to be on?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be on everything. I've got the collector's edition pre-ordered. I'm pumped.
See, I'm trying to figure out if I want to play that or 4.
Play the 3 remake, dude. 3 remake. This is a complete remake. I've tried to play 3 so many times, but it's just so old that I just can't. Especially the 3 that just came out, which is a HD version of the PSP one, which is basically you just go through a bunch of menus to do everything. So knowing that this one is like, the full remake, it looks like P5. I'm so pumped for it. Persona 4 is really good though, but I don't see why you wouldn't just hop into this one because this is going to be the, I assume, newest coolest version. The only thing that I am interested about, and I haven't done any research into this, is that one of the things about 3 that kind of was a turnoff to me is that there is one place you go. Like, on Persona 5 there are multiple palaces, and Persona 4 there are different, there's like I kind of forget what it is. You go into a TV world and there's a person that's kidnapped, so you go into like their like I forget what it even is, but it's like basically a palace. But this place you go into 3 is called Tartarus, which is just one massive dungeon. And in the version I played, it all looks the same, basically. So you're just constantly going back to this one place. So I'm interested to see if they kind of switch that up a little bit. But yes, I am. I'm very excited for it. I need more Persona. I have missed playing Persona.
Yeah, one of my buddies was thinking about playing 5 Royal, and I was like, do it.
Dude, 5 Royal is so good.
It's one of my favorite games.
I started 5 Royal.
Yeah, you've started 5 and 5 Royal. How many times?
I made it to like the 4th palace the first playthrough. Yeah. I told you my feelings of those games are so complex because when I'm in the world existing, running around Tokyo, talking to my friends, going to classes and the story unfolding, it's like the way I feel playing them I love. It's just I get so caught up in one. I still can't get into turn-based combat in many games. It's very much a struggle for me. That's number one struggle. And second is like I felt like it was like a life simulator where it's like every time I worked out or made coffee or went to the movies in the game, I'm like I could literally be doing this in real life. And it weirdly inspired me to like be better at real life. And it's like, I could be hanging out with my real life friends, but instead I'm hanging out with these cartoon characters that are great. Don't get me wrong. I like those characters so much, but that was my complexity. It's like the turn-based and like, I feel like I'm living a separate life in this game in a good way. So.
But the more you do in the real life of that, it affects the combat.
I know, dude. That's why it's so complex for me. But I will say, because I've long considered, like, I recognize not even finishing Persona 5. That's a masterpiece of a game. And I still, to this day, will occasionally throw on the soundtrack. And Life Will Change alone, that song is such a banger that when I was running sound and music venues, in between sets of bands, I'd play that song. And I would imagine 95% of the people in the room didn't even know what it was, but they were grooving, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that music is powerful. Yeah. So,
dude, Persona 3 has got some jams for sure.
I still listen to the playlist you made me.
Yeah.
I meant to tell you that, Preston.
Oh, yeah?
Preston made me a killer Persona of all the games music playlist on Apple Music. I'll share it with you too.
Yeah.
You should. That's awesome.
It's for 3, 4, and 5. All my favorites. Dude, 4, I love how 3 is more kind of like hip-hoppy, and 4 is more just like pop, and then 5 is like jazz. I love how they have like
so sick,
theme.
dude.
Yeah. 4 is.
That's why I get really so upset with myself, dude. It's because I've never finished a single one, but I've liked them all. And then inevitably, when 6 is marketed, I'm like, I'm gonna want to play that now, and it's like stresses me out so much.
You're a fake fan.
I just need to grow up, dude. Grow up, pal, and finish the game. That's what I need to do. If I can suffer through Final Fantasy 16's monotony,
bro, stop.
Then I should force myself to finish Persona 5 Royal.
How dare you?
But that's the thing, is like there's nothing really monotonous about Persona to me. It's just the turn-based. I really need to like just grow up and be a grown-up and play the game, you know?
Yeah.
Not everything can be Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, dude.
That's right.
Exactly.
So, gentlemen, that brings us to the tail end of this episode, to Ask IOG. Ask IOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our social media at ItsObviousGaming, the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, or email to us at itsobviousgaming@gmail.com. And if you want your question read live on the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. First one comes from Coffee. Coffee says, "Miss you boys. Been too long. Maybe this has been asked before, but if you could start up a gaming company, what would you name it? Or if you could join any existing company, what would it be and why?" And below that, Coma Snow says, "That would be a great question to answer on a podcast or something." That was back on September 6th when Coffee asked this. So Coffee, I apologize for the long delay, but we are back, and we're grateful for your question. I'm not going to go with a created one. I'm going to go with join one. I would either join Naughty Dog because they're the epitome of excellence in game development so far. We'll see how it plays out with the future, but they've been excellent. But my heart says Insomniac, because it's just banger after banger with them. And they also make not only just excellent games, but very fun games to play. And the last one I'd touch on is that I'd like to be a hero to 343, because Zach Bynum and I are so rooted in Halo that we regularly talk about how we would fix Halo as an IP, especially just the existing Halo Infinite. And our ideas, I truly believe, are objectively reasonable, financially viable, and smart to make that game even way better than it currently is. And I wish I could just be like on the board of 343 where we give them like, here are the ideas to fix your game, and they would just follow our lead. But that'll never happen. Those are my answers. What about you guys?
Man, I definitely, like I said, I wouldn't want to start my own. I think I would like to join. I think it was. I know multiple studios made different Splinter Cells, from Ubisoft Montreal to Shanghai. I want to join one of those teams and help make a Splinter Cell game.
Yeah. Dude, I stand by what I said.
What will I do? I don't know. Maybe I can just play.
Give them the ideas.
Yeah, just make things for me,
and
I'll tell you yes or no if these are good.
Yeah, I think about Splinter Cell, that remake they're supposedly still working on is like, I will play it. Splinter Cell 1 is a great game, but I wish they focused less on that and focused on the now, because there's so much to draw, like so much inspiration to draw from modern stealth games. There's so many good ones that you can make a brand new Splinter Cell game inspired by other games and still make it its own thing and make it Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell
probably mostly draw from Chaos Theory.
Splinter Cell 1 has some really cool levels. The one that always sticks out to me is there is a level where you have to break into, I believe it's not third echelon, like the FBI basically, and it is just so cool. They literally drop you out front of this United States like government building. I forget why you're going in there, but you only have like a time frame to get inside, and then you're inside and you're sneaking around like these people aren't like bad guys. You're just trying to get some information. And I think that the first game, I think the original trilogy, just they do such a good job of allowing you to play like a ghost, to where it's like infiltrate this building, this facility, and you can do the entire mission to the point where nobody even like knows you're there or knew you were there. And I love that, and I hate that no stealth games are like that anymore. You have to take down people, you have to do things, you have to kill people, you have to leave a trail of bodies, whether they're like unconscious or not, like in your wake. And I just love how the original trilogy, you didn't have to do that. So anyways, I think my main point was talking about the first one. The first one has so many like iconic stealth levels that I have no issue with them remaking those and bringing them up to like a modern standard. I actually am 100% fine with that. So,
the real question is, will Michael Ironside's voice just be reused? He's still around, right? He's just very old. I heard he's been like sick or something. If he's still alive,
I'm pretty sure he's still alive. But yeah, I don't know if he's in the shape to.
Yeah, to do that still, because he would definitely sound very old. Yeah. No. I actually grew to admire the guy from Blacklist, the new guy.
He was fine, yeah.
It's totally different. It's not Michael Ironside, obviously, but it worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I as much as I liked Blacklist, if they're going to just start over and remake, I would definitely want an improved version of like Chaos Theory for sure.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, they may as well go the route of like hardcore stealth, like as realistic as possible. I'd appreciate, because there's so many like arcadey stealth games. Like Dishonored is pretty arcadey. It's just very creative.
Yeah. This
like,
whole
bring me
this whole Panther play style, which is what they wanted with like Splinter Cell, Conviction and Blacklist, like it's cool, but like if you're remaking the first one, like let's remake the first one. You know?
Yeah, like just give audiences a chance, like players a chance to do hardcore, slow, methodical stealth. Like my hope is that if they were to make a modern one, like go hardcore stealth, but like implement the creativity of a Dishonored game, maybe. Not necessarily like, oh, you put this guy in a chair and zapped him by accident. It's just like not that kind of stuff.
You have a building. There are multiple ways to get in. There's multiple ways
exactly.
to
that and like
objectives.
A ton of creative tools at your disposal, like your gadgets to like really do creative stuff. Mm-hmm. And I want like ultra aware AI to where like if a dead body spotted, it isn't like, oh, a dead body, and like they search for 30 seconds and they go back to normal. I want like they're on high alert till they find you type of AI.
Yeah. And so bummed that they canceled the Splinter Cell VR game, because after playing Assassin's Creed and seeing how fun the stealth is in that, I was thinking like, oh man, this could have been so freaking fun, like sneaking around, headshotting guys and like dragging them into like shadows and stuff. That would have been so awesome in VR.
Man, so. I feel like Splinter Cell is like its destiny is to be like the hardcore stealth series.
Dude, I'm surprised that unless I'm just mistaken, how come there hasn't been like a small developer that like loves Splinter Cell that makes their own
and
version?
Emulates that? I guess it's just it always comes down to money. It's like it's one thing, it's expensive to make a game that's really well made, but also like the distribution and like the marketing and the accessibility. It's just like it all comes down to money, I feel like. And I get why Ubisoft doesn't feel like that's a viable financial investment for them. But then you have like Skull and Bones in development for 10 years and no one's going to play that game. It's like, what's going on over there?
Right.
That game's finally coming out. Didn't it get a release date of the Game Awards? Skull and Bones?
It did, yes. I still cannot believe that's coming out though.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It just makes me think about that iconic Let's Play we have of Sea of Thieves that you and I played.
Dude, so
that
fun.
Day.
I heard there either is a mode or they're adding a mode where it's like you can play without other pirates and like invading your ship and stuff. Like
Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like it's just going to be like a friendly world, but you get less rewards.
The one thing I wanted to ask you guys about real quick before we move on is that new Hello Games fantasy game called Light No Fire, I believe. Yeah. That has major potential. It seemed like on paper, like No Man's Sky. It seemed like really epic.
All the memes from it are hilarious.
I don't think I've seen it
yet.
The
Walter White, where he's stuck in the car screaming. He's like, Sean, no! Don't promise a game!
That's the thing, dude, is that you can only hope the developers learn their lessons and apply them to the next release. So don't over promise anything. Like don't be a Peter Molyneux. So he's already a Sean.
Dude,
what's
if
his last name?
if there's any developer that has, I know this one obviously needs to come out better, but I mean, Hello Games has No Man's Sky is a really, really cool game now, and they completely like changed it around. So I
don't think there was anyone more devastated from the initial release than Jacob Alka. No Man's Sky.
Dude,
That game sucked.
I freaking platinumed that game somehow. I don't even remember.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I don't even remember.
didn't know you could platinum it.
Yeah, I don't even remember playing it, but I have the platinum, so I guess I played it. Granted, the OG version of it was like I'm sure that was completely. Like I said, I don't even remember playing that game enough to platinum it, but I did.
The one memory I have is landing on my first planet and naming it Planet A after the Prada song.
Oh yeah,
which I was proud of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
EP is
That's
sick.
probably the game that I've played least of by spending $60 on it. Or I think it was 60.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It wasn't 40, right?
You and
No,
many
it was
other
60.
people. You were not alone, Jacob. You were not
I
alone.
don't even know if I played 2 or 3 hours. Like I was just checked out.
Excuse me.
Bless you,
Thank you.
Jacob. What studio would you create or join?
I probably have a few that I would be interested in. I think it would be really. I mean, I don't speak. God, what country is the CD Projekt Red studio in? I forgot.
Poland, I think.
Poland.
Yeah, but they're Polish. That's right. It would be cool to work on that game, the next Witcher. But that might be challenging since I speak English. I mean,
They
some of them
speak
do,
English.
obviously.
Well, some of them do. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of internal conversations are in Polish. So, I think it would be really cool to start, like, to be inside the new Blizzard team that's making their new survival game. I think it would be.
I
really
forgot
cool to
about that.
build a new universe. Yeah, they announced it a couple of years ago. So, it's probably getting to the point where we might hear about it sometime soon, the next year or two. I think it'd be really cool to build a new Blizzard universe, just like how Overwatch 2 was recently made. I mean, that one came from a failed game, but a failed Titan MMO. A lot of, I mean, it would be cool to work on WoW too, but from what I hear, it's not easy to work on that game because the engine's like it's a really old engine, and they've added a lot of layers and improvements to it, but from what I've heard, it's not easy to develop for, so that might be a bit of a nightmare. I think Insomniac Games would be a really fun studio to work for. They have quite a few projects going on right now, and it just seems like there's always something exciting coming out of their studio. So
Yeah.
I bet they have a good work environment too. Like I've never seen someone that works at Insomniac like be unexcited or unmotivated by something they're making.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, but we don't see there every day, so it's hard to really, like, oh, they have the best work environment ever. Like, no one really knows. But those are just a few that I think would be kind of cool.
Crap. I was just looking through my trophies, and I found I got the platinum for No Man's Sky August 19th, 2016.
Holy! I didn't realize the game was that old already. Dang.
When did
dude.
that come out? No Man's
That came
Sky.
out pretty close to, I guess, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is 2015. So
August 9th, 2016. So it took me 10 days to platinum it.
Holy crap, dude!
What?
That's amazing. Wow, I didn't know that.
Dang.
Cool.
I'm
One
just
thing I wanted to
a
ask you guys about real
pro
quick.
gamer, dude.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys just briefly if you have any particular wants or hopes for Wolverine from Insomniac, because I feel like that game should be very easy to make awesome for them. And I think that the one thing they know everyone wants is extreme violence from that game.
Yeah.
Because that movie tie-in game for Origins still stands up as being pretty sick because of the violence and combat alone.
Yeah.
So Insomniac already has phenomenal combat in all of their games, most notably recently Spider-Man. So imagine the ferocity and violence of Wolverine with like really cool combat like that you can get creative with. And I can't imagine Wolverine unless they have ideas for it being open world, because I think there was a rumor that it's like an open...
It's like God
a-
of War, like, I think.
Yeah. So maybe that could be cool, but like just a ton of cool Wolverine costumes, extreme violence, creative combat, and like I'm sure they'll come up with a cool story. I feel like that game should be easy for them to nail, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
don't really have... I just... Yeah, like you said, I want it to be super violent. And I just want it to be different from anything they've really done.
Yeah.
I do think like kind of a layout like a God of War like game, because I think it's supposed to take place in some South American city or something like that. I thought I remember reading some leaks that it's supposed to be in South America or like Brazil or something like that. But I don't know how they would maybe do a God of War like game with like Metroidvania like elements. Like, it makes sense for God of War. He's, fighting gods and taking their powers and stuff. Like, I don't know how Wolverine would learn new abilities, I mean, I guess he could, but I'd be interested to see how they would do something like that.
Yeah, the challenge would be making combat encounters interesting from beginning to end. Because the thing about Spider-Man is that, yes, you have fewer gadgets in the sequel, but you can still get creative with what you have at your disposal between every battle.
Yeah.
So what could they do with Wolverine apart from just like combos and super moves and stuff to make it interesting?
Yeah.
Is the challenge, I feel like, design-wise. One thing about the violence is that I hope there's a ton of gore and blood, of course, but even like Wolverine's damage, one of the coolest things about him is his adamantium skeleton. So I like seeing like his silver limbs and face.
They're 100%. I mean, they even did it in Spider-Man 2, where you would get your
battle
health,
damage.
Yeah, your health bar would reflect or your costume would reflect your health bar. So they're 100% going to do that with Wolverine.
Yeah, I always think that's so cool about Wolverine. So, yeah, stoked for that. Do you guys think for lucky 2025, but likely 2026?
I think
at the earliest.
I think 25.
Probably.
I'm pretty confident on 25.
Cool. Next one's from BlankMind12. He says, "Have y'all ever been fans of Street Fighter? I haven't played 6 yet, but I play the 30th anniversary edition on my Switch daily. I've always wondered if those games appeal to you, why and why not? Miss you boys and need your beautiful voices in my AirPods once again. BlankMind, thank you for writing in on October 7th. Over 2 months later, we're here, but we appreciate it. I'm not a big Street Fighter guy. The new one does look sick. I doubt I'll play it if I'm being honest, but I have a respect for that franchise. And something I want to touch on before I forget, and you guys talk about Street Fighter, is that I'm very, very excited for Sparking Zero Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
The next,
Definitely.
what is essentially Budokai, from what I understand.
Yeah, Budokai Tenkaichi 4, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've been working on that game. I know this has nothing to do with Street Fighter, but I think they've been working on that game for like 5 years or something. It's the
Sick.
longest development time for a Dragon Ball Z game ever.
Amazing.
So people,
I am so stoked for that.
yeah. So they've just been like putting content into like Xenoverse and Dragon Ball FighterZ just to keep people occupied while they've been working on this game. So yeah, I am pumped for it, dude. I actually bought Kakarot for. I beat it on PC, but I bought it for PlayStation 5. It was on sale for like $15 a few weeks ago, and I booted it up for a little bit. That game is really fun. So whenever
Nice.
I have
That's like the one that's like open world and you fly around and stuff.
yeah, it's just the RPG where you play
Cool.
through the first 3 like arcs all the way through Majin Buu, and there's DLC that adds like the gods and the second world tournament and all that stuff. So yeah, really cool game. But anyways, back to Street Fighter 6. I don't have any interest in Street Fighter. I don't have too much interest in any fighting games. I really tried to get into fighters. I tried to get into Marvel vs. Capcom. I tried to get into Mortal Kombat. I tried to get into Street Fighter 4 when it came out, and I just I don't know. I'm not. I like to play a variety of different games, so I don't know if I really want to dedicate myself to a genre that I don't have too much history in and play it as much as I would need to play it to be somewhat competent at it. So
Yeah, that's why I don't play them, honestly. It's because I would want to like play them online, and I just feel like neither do I have the interest, nor do I think I would be very good.
and dude, I completely freeze online. Like I was really into MK9 when it came out, and I would like learn the combos and everything, and the second I would get online, I would get stage fright and just forget everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Yeah, I played the demo of the newest Mortal Kombat and it was sick, but I was slaughtered every match, dude. And I was just like, well, that's all I need to know about this game. It's like I used to play every Mortal Kombat story at least,
yeah.
and just kind of like avoid the multiplayer. But even for this one, I was like, I think I'd rather just watch people be good at it than play it myself.
Yeah, and all the DLC looks sick for Mortal Kombat 2. But yeah, no, I have complete respect for Street Fighter. I'm glad that it won Fighting Game of the Year, because I've just heard, so I love seeing Capcom do well in all their games.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're their resurgence to be one of the best like publishers is amazing.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see that. You boys excited for Monster Hunter Wilds?
Yeah, I think it looks
I'm going to
cool.
keep an eye on it. I never played all the way through World, but
I really enjoyed World a lot. It was fun.
World's so good.
Yeah. I played, dude, that game, one of the final fights of like the Ancient Dragon guys, I have never heard a game console as loud playing that in my life, dude. I thought my PS4 was about to straight up take flight out of my room playing that game. The loudest thing ever. But yeah,
It was so funny how wasn't it the newer, like the Pro that was really loud? Or was it the original?
It was I was playing on a Pro, I'm pretty sure. I think they're all loud, but yeah, playing that game in particular, I remember it was a dragon that would throw up like tornadoes or something, and I was straight up like in the game basically. The tornadoes are going on my screen, fans were flying in my room, like it was truly like a 4D gaming experience. But yeah, I am excited for that game. I never got into Rise really either, so I've been away from Monster Hunter enough for me to be excited for this.
Yeah.
Is Dragon's Dogma 2 is Capcom as well. Which I never played the first one, and that's coming out relatively soon, so I think I'm a little interested in that as well. So yeah, again, man, they're just putting out, I'm assuming Dogma 2 is going to be good. I have no reason to think it wouldn't, because all Capcom really does recently is just put out killer games.
Killer stuff, yeah.
So cannot wait to see what they're going to do next with RE.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm assuming they'll probably go to 9, but I want the 5 remake so bad. I think that is one of the most...
I want to play through on co-op specifically in the remake.
Oh yeah, I want it to be co-op. I think 5 is super underappreciated.
You and I played 5 like not that long ago together, right?
Yeah, I think we played on PC together.
Yeah.
It is so funny. I just want to see their interpretation of it with like what they've been doing recently. But but yeah, I really, really like 5. So 6,
yeah, I like it too.
I'd like to see a 6 remake, dude. To make that game actually
that's
good.
something that would be so honorable if they took everything wrong with that game and made it cool.
Yeah. Which RE6,
that'd be the ultimate remake.
RE6 is a good game. It's just a horrible Resident Evil game. So
yeah.
I would love to see their interpretation of it. But I also want to see the next like first person thing to do. But anyways, but yeah, they're just putting out insane stuff. So
yeah, I don't want to leave Piggy Smalls hanging. This one's not quite as relevant to our current conversation, but we can get through it. He says, "Hey there, guys. First timer on asking y'all a question, especially because he's a first timer." He says, "Just wondering from the collaborative experience you guys could tell me where babies come from. The explanation I received from my parents is a little far-fetched, so to speak. A bird, a baby in a cloth hammock, no seatbelt, serving up babies like he sewed the block or some shit. Get real." My wife's explanation is even more grotesque. "Help me out, boys. I know these suckers ain't popping out of no plops." Well, Piggy Smalls, they're all alien creatures that are delivered to Earth from distant planets that grow into humans.
Dude, I like how he put a sad face when we didn't answer his question after a month.
Yeah. Almost a month later. Well, Piggy, we're fashionably late, of course, but we're here now.
Yeah. My understanding is they grow underground. You just have to dig to find them.
Kind of like the
like
mandrakes from Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they all come out screaming.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of babies, I've never been around babies in my life, but my sister had a baby. My sister-in-law recently had a baby, so I've been around 2 of them, and to the point where I actually touch them and stuff. And well, that doesn't sound good. Like hold them.
You hold them and stuff, yeah.
See, I've never held a baby before this, but they're not as scary as I thought they would be.
Yeah, they're kind of cute sometimes.
Yeah. My niece, my sister's daughter, is freaking adorable. I love her. So yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I might go outside and try and dig up a baby at some point. You never know.
Yeah, mandrake.
You
might
invest
dig up
in
your
one
own
of those.
mandrake. Yeah, it's been interesting seeing Zach's children grow up because one of them is a full-blown child now, and that I can have general conversations with, which is pretty surreal.
It's amazing
and strange. So Yeah, it's been crazy to see. But yeah, they're basically mandrakes, Piggy Smalls. I'm glad you asked, and then we could clarify that for you.
Anytime.
Yeah. Coma Snow writes in, he says, I got a Steam Deck as an early Christmas present, and I'm loving it. It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, that I have to wonder what Nintendo plans on doing with the Switch 2. I'm sure it's been in development for a while and likely ready for a 2024 release. But will it come close to matching the features and performance of the Steam Deck and other handhelds like the ROG Ally?
Here's the thing about Nintendo and all they need to do. Nintendo's first party games just are, how do I say this? They're just so good compared to a majority of the stuff on anything else that it really doesn't even matter what they do with the actual console itself. If they just make a better Switch 2, or if they just make a more powerful Switch, which I'm assuming it'll probably be on the level of like a PS4 would be my guess, then I'm perfectly fine with that. Which I have a Steam Deck, but I don't really know in terms of performance what it is close to. Probably like a PS4-ish. I don't know. I would assume that a Switch 2 and a Steam Deck would be relatively similar. That would be my guess.
Dude, you wouldn't have happened to play Sea of Stars on Steam Deck.
I played the demo. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's a great place to play.
Yeah, no, it is. It is really good. That's such a. I probably prefer to play Sea of Stars on my Switch though, because my Switch is OLED, and a game like that would like really pops, like the colors and stuff.
It's pretty colorful.
So, I guess if you get a Steam Deck OLED that just came out, I'm sure it would look phenomenal. But I haven't played my Steam Deck too much recently. I did play a lot on it. I actually played a ton of like emulators on it. That's what I used it for a lot. But I think I played Yakuza 0 on it, and that was fun to play on there. But yeah, I would. What was the question? I don't even remember what the question was. What does
Nintendo need to do with the next Switch?
I just think it needs to just, I don't know, be more powerful. I think they, just
it's not going to be as powerful as we want. Like they never do that.
The thing, yeah, and that's not like that's not their thing though, is to have state of the art. They just, all their games are just so freaking good that if I can just play like the next Zelda at like 60 FPS, I would be fine with that. Or if they could update Tears of the Kingdom or something on the next one to play at 60 FPS, I'd be fine with that. So,
yeah.
Dude, at minimum, we could play 1440p 60 FPS performance
with as many, because I'm pretty sure they use an NVIDIA chip, whereas PS4 and Xbox use AMD. We need to have some form of implementation of like DLSS or AI sampling in the next Switch to really make it look better than it actually is. Because I know, our PlayStation and Xbox are doing that with like FSR right now. So I think that's one thing that consoles from this point forward need to start taking advantage of, because those, especially DLSS, dude, is straight up magic. Like you can just get crazy frame rates and the graphics basically look like they're natively, displayed at the actual resolution. So I would love for the Switch to take advantage of something like that.
I couldn't say it better myself.
And it needs to be backwards compatible.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it needs to be backwards compatible.
That's the thing, though, is I could totally see them not doing that, but it has to be. Like, let's be honest.
Yes, I second the notion. Anything more from you, Jacob? Cool. Coma Snow, thanks for writing in, brother. Big Colt writes in. Big Colt! He says, I got a question. How dare you?
Yeah, Garrett, how dare you?
It reminds me of, what's that girl's name?
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, she's like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare us? No, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare us, truly. It's been a long hiatus, if that's what you're referring to, or just how dare us in general for existing. That's a great question. But in regard to the hiatus, it has been a minute, but we're back. Personally excited to be back. I could talk about video games all day, every day. Between that and movies, that's the stuff I talk about most with friends. So in addition to life itself, which has always been an aspect of this podcast. But how dare us, gentlemen? You have anything to say to that?
No, I think it's deserved.
We have no excuse.
I agree. How dare you? Big Colt, love you to bits. Glad to hear from you. Sam Harris, 32 Speed Sir, is our grand finale today. He says, well. If it isn't our mighty gaming overlords, or our mighty overlords of gaming. It's been a while. Where do we begin? Oh, I see. The Creed reference. He said, I've seen a ton of Creed music on my social feeds. On that note, do you guys like Creed or are they cringe? They're going on tour next year. I appreciate the cringe and the memes of Creed, but I'm a genuine fan of Creed personally.
I'm the same, except I'm not a fan of Creed.
Yeah.
But I like seeing their songs pop on my feed sometimes.
I'm indifferent to Creed. I actually worked with the bassist for Creed last year.
You said the original bassist, right?
No, the second bassist.
Second, okay.
Yeah, the second bassist. So I worked with him for a little bit. He actually played, I believe, during the classic Thanksgiving
the
show.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the
Oh,
Thanksgiving
man.
show, yeah. So
Yeah.
What a legendary performance.
I asked him, I was like, how do you feel about that? And he was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. That's
Like, sir,
That's
do
the
you
most Creed
realize what
response.
that means to United States culture
Yeah.
at this point?
So he had a bunch of really cool stories. There was one music video, I think, or performance they did on the building of something, and he said that was like wild because like the wind was blowing like crazy. But yeah, I worked with that gentleman for about a month or two, and he was a nice guy. So
I grew up listening to Creed with my dad, going to and from karate practice for years. So I grew to like them and have seen them technically 3 times twice, but then I saw Scott Stapp on a solo tour right before COVID. I'm talking like 2 weeks before COVID, and I was in the front row and got a ton of cool pictures of that performance. They played a bunch of Creed songs, and their tour they're going on, like the boat cruise tour or whatever, has already sold out, I think, which I think is hilarious. But my dad actually bought tickets to their show in the US. They're doing like a year and a half from now. He bought them that early. So we're going to go see them when they tour the US again, which I think is sick. So hopefully they actually stick around and make a new album and don't break up for like the 3rd time. We'll see.
Yeah, they need to take advantage of this resurgence on social media.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I liked their self-aware, probably some marketer came up with it, but their self-aware return of like that they're going on tour was pretty funny on TikTok. Anyway, Sam says, gents, this year has been a goated year for gaming from the likes of BG3, Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if
How
I'd
dare you
include
mention
Starfield in there.
Starfield amongst those.
All of the games released this year, BG3 seems to have resonated with many consumers out there. Given its development cycle in response to community feedback, it's a heralded success. Would other games franchises benefit from this approach? Love to hear your thoughts. And I think he means in particular, probably more than this, but the fact that the game was in early access development for a long time and they were just constantly taking in player feedback for years before they launched like the full game that it is now. And I get what some developers said in response to the game's success is that not every studio has the option to do that with development, which is a fair argument, I think. But it would be sweet if games on the scale of RPGs in particular, or just games with really complex systems, and not to mention just the dialogue and characters alone and decisions in that game, how that's all interwoven. If they could go through a long period of early access would be sick, but yeah, not every studio has that option, unfortunately. So but those that do have that option, I'd love to see that more. Absolutely. What do you guys
a lot
think?
of studios aren't equipped to, develop games like that, I'm sure. But I think the best thing about BG3 is just, like most of the RPGs that end up winning Game of the Year, I feel like they do something that we've either never really seen before, or they do something so well that it like really excels the game and changes the industry as a whole, maybe in a lot of ways. Kind of like, let me think, like Witcher 3, maybe side quests. Maybe that kind of shifted the industry a little bit, I would like to think. And Baldur's Gate 3, like the relationships and just the unique, like the unlimited amounts of ways you can play through that game, or make different decisions to They completely change the game, and a lot of games don't have the scope that BG3 has. So obviously that's why it's, heralded as one of the best RPGs we've ever had.
I've noticed that the RPGs that are like kind of getting all this attention and stuff, like BG3 and stuff, are just really high budget modern versions of kind of the old RPGs we used to get. And it's like, I think it's clear that's like what we kind of want, that we have
the children yearn for hardcore old school RPGs.
We have the technology to truly like realize these like, older style, RPGs now. So, and I think that's the big thing about Bethesda is like in hindsight now, they're what's that phrase? A mile wide, an inch deep.
Mm-hmm.
That's their games. We want a mile wide, a mile deep now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just...
And that's so much to ask for.
I mean,
not from Bethesda, it shouldn't be,
I mean, I can imagine, like, the scope of a Bethesda game, just having all the choices of, like, I think what Bethesda should look at, honestly, is what Obsidian did with New Vegas. That game is a classic Bethesda game in its structure, but it has the RPG choices that people want. It has a reputation system. It has ways to do different quests and stuff. Like, and lo and behold, that's the Fallout game that everybody freaking likes. So, and they just, when it comes to Starfield or Fallout 4, it's every quest is basically like, kill this guy or don't, so I did that. I kind of got lost in the sauce.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's spot on for sure.
I mean, they're just not innovating enough, and
it's
they're making
Witcher 3 came out. I feel like Bethesda kind of gets, when they start developing, they just suck themselves into their own bubble. They don't look at other stuff. Like Fallout 4 came out the same year as The Witcher 3. Starfield comes out the same year as Baldur's Gate 3. And it's like every year they release a game, they're completely shown up, Yeah.
And the major question, I think, is, speaking of hindsight, is that I know you and I personally did really like Fallout 4. I had the time of my life playing that game at the time. And I genuinely enjoyed the building and stuff that they also brought over to Starfield. But now that Starfield has a very mixed reception, I'd say probably mostly poor reception.
Do you know why I think we liked Fallout 4 so much, though?
Because it was a lot like Fallout 3? We just wanted more of
it.
It
was in the Fallout universe. We had already fallen in love with that. Yeah. It's like taking this Bethesda... And I think if it was Elder Scrolls, we would kind of feel the same way. It's like we love the Elder Scrolls lore and the universe and stuff. But like taking their game and like putting in something we're just unfamiliar with, there's nothing like keeping us in it, Yeah.
Starfield doesn't have the nostalgia built up over years of those other two franchises.
So
I was going to say the big question now that Starfield's out in the world is like, is Todd Howard, with how their games have not evolved much over the last 10 years especially, is it entirely Todd Howard's fault because he's calling all the shots essentially?
I mean,
is it time for Todd Howard to either take some feedback for real, or is it time for him to step aside?
If Todd Howard's directing these games, I mean, these games are his vision.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the buck has to kind of stop with somebody, and he's the guy that's in the forefront of everything. So, I mean, it's got to kind of, I think he's kind of got to change it at this point,
I firmly believe he'll be around for at least Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls, if not one more game after that. I think he even said that in an IGN interview. He said he may have 2 or 3 more games in him at most. So I think he is going to stick around. I just really, really hope there isn't like a pride blocking him from receiving feedback and like taking it or leaving it, of course, but at least hearing people out for real about what they're hoping for Bethesda going forward.
I mean, you have to. This was the game after 76, which I know there's a lot of, we've talked about it way back when, just like, oh, did they actually do it? Was this their B team? Blah, blah, blah. But after 76, they really needed to knock it out of the park with Starfield. And Starfield is not a bad game. It's not. It's just an okay game. And you can't have this is when Xbox bought Bethesda, this was like the studio. Like, this is the premier Western RPG studio, and they've had 2 games back to back that have just been completely underwhelming. And there's like with Cyberpunk and with what CD Projekt Red's doing, with what Lyrian's doing now. I mean, we haven't even seen what Obsidian's going to do with Avowed. Like, what's that going to look like? I mean, because I mean, Outer Worlds was pretty freaking good. Like, I mean, Bethesda could be completely shown up by whatever Avowed is. Like, there's other people doing it better at this point.
I totally agree. So all I can do is just hope for the best. But thankfully, in the midst of the disappointment of that game in particular this year, there's been countless other phenomenal games, and there's more to come very soon. So, and I have a great backlog too. So I have no shortage of things to play.
Yeah.
Which is, like I said earlier, a great problem to have. So
for sure.
Yeah. But overall, 2023 has been a good year. Just life. Very brief life update is that work has not been quite as lucrative as previous years. It's been kind of a slow year for film and TV, unfortunately, but there's been some great projects I've been thrilled and honored to be a part of, and one more big one that we're doing on Saturday as of recording this episode that I'm excited about. So, yeah, 2023 overall, pretty solid year. How do you guys feel about 2023 before we close out? Big, especially big year for you, Preston. Huge year for you.
Yeah, I've had an absolutely... My life has completely changed this year, more so than ever, for the better. Like I said, new job, new place to live, new wife. Yeah, just really, 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 really different. So really good year. And on top of that, phenomenal video games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been a big year for me, too. Finally, I feel like I'm acclimated to the city a little bit. Got a big new job this year, so...
We're neighbors.
Yeah, we're neighbors. We need to go out and eat again soon.
We can go tonight if you want. I have no plans tonight.
I might be going on a date tonight.
Okay.
Ooh.
I hope you do go on that date and it doesn't fall through. So you've said that to me before and it doesn't go through. So
have I? When have I said that?
Years prior.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
Sweet. Glad to hear that. Is that all?
This was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, I'm glad the three of us could hang again. This has been good, and we don't have to obviously commit to anything right now, Preston. But Jacob and I have flirted with the idea of trying to do this once a week on the weekends, just in the morning. Obviously, today went longer than we had planned for, just because there was so much to get through with it being an end of the year type of conversation. But going forward, I think it could potentially be realistic, depending on the day and timing of the day, to be a little more consistent. 'Cause it's something I still very much love to do. I do believe we're not like a huge podcast, but between our community giving us great questions to branch off of, and just hearing from you guys on Discord and Twitter and Instagram, wherever it might be, I do feel like there is value to this podcast. Not even just necessarily what we're saying, but just like the community driven aspect. Although it's been humble all these years, has always been something I've greatly valued and appreciate, and have loved doing. So like I said at the beginning, we are not dead yet. Preston lives. His life is very different from the last time you heard from him, but in a good way. And there's plenty to talk about. So thank you all for tuning in. As always, if you're for some crazy reason a first-time listener, this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, all the main podcasting services were out there, and you can listen anywhere. So always appreciate feedback, and any questions you have for us throughout the week, submit through any of our social media or in the Ask OG section of Discord. Would love to have you on Discord if you aren't here already. And thank you as always for your love and support. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.